breaking today?
It's coming through on my end, at least.
I need to fix it on
I
mine.
am also hearing audio.
It was breaking yesterday a lot too for you.
There's something weird going on. I've got just a bunch of nightmares happening with my system. So if I do stop talking in the middle of a sentence or have to be like, oh, can't hear you, bye, I appreciate you guys being understanding. The days are beginning to feel shorter as time races by, and you spent most of your time in the last week trekking through the mountainous regions of the far north while your faces were numb and your fingers were immobile. Before you had departed the kingdom, Siger had a prisoner brought before him, and some of you had commissioned work on further construction, but those are stories for another day. You had struggled down a meal of recently slain monster parts and departed from Azapara Akwasu, warned by the Goliath warrior there to avoid the main roads lest you be slain on sight. Instead, the best way forward was the more difficult path, trekking through the frozen spires of the mountains where the air was thin, and Eerie found himself being blown around, a problem that he'll never have again. And at the peak's apex, you would come to a Titan's Gate and a three-headed cryohydra, where you were aided in battle by a gruff, matter-of-factly bugbear. And when it was clear after the battle had ended and blood was being wiped from the axe onto the clear snow, a brief conversation made it clear that both of your paths were taking you in the same general direction, and he agreed to help guide you towards Volanthusk, the capital city, if there is such a thing, of the Bravelands. And that is where you all now stand together. And while the axe-wielding barbarian bugbear named Melgar informs you that he will not be accompanying you forward into the city, who's the first person to respond?
Well, I think oops, fucked up my window. I think Kyvius would say, "Why aren't you coming in?"
I don't belong here anymore.
Did you belong there at one time?
Doesn't matter now.
Lovers quarrel.
You're wasting time.
That's true. We
That's
are
probably
excellent.
true.
Yeah, we're very good at that. Well, if you're not coming in, is there anything you'd like us to get for you or see for you, or maybe send a message to somebody inside there?
Be expedient, that's enough.
Tell everyone to be expedient. That's enough. Got it. It's a strange message, but you guys are different than us, so I'll make sure everybody knows.
I can't even imagine he cracks a smile at this.
But Kyvius is really trying.
I wonder if everybody out here is like that. As we're approaching the front, so many people are dressed in armor and weapons. Does it look like... Okay, how do I put this? Does it look like a mobilization of forces, or is this just fucking how they exist?
It's actually, the more that you spend time in Volanthusk, you start to realize that it's actually not so much like armor as it appears to be sort of commonplace clothing. Even the children here are dressed in the same kind of thick leathers and furs as the people who are sort of defending the city, and just about everybody has a spear or a sword or a bow on them in some kind of capacity. Even the kids who are just out playing or just random folk all seem like, even from a very young age, they start carrying things like hatchets just to be able to sort of assist with the daily chores. And many of them are dressed in these thick boiled leathered garb and armors, essentially, because it looks like that's an easier thing for them to pass down to the next person when they have grown out of it.
Jeez. All right.
And there is ice that has frosted the windows, so only like a sliver of light gets into any of them. And at one point in time, even some children see Galadriel and just once again hear the whispering, like Kahilani, like the excited panic, and they come rushing up to you. And one of them, without a single word, Galadriel just deposits in your hand a small little pouch that appears to be basically like little hard candies, and runs away.
This will do.
Oh,
And for the most part, people in the city just, whether they are riding caribou or they look like they are like deep in the day's chores, mostly just ignore you. At one point in time, as you are passing, there is a man with a bow who doesn't break eye contact with you, Kyvis, just stares you down the entire time. And then like when you like have sort of like, is there something the problem? Like you can clearly get to the point where it's become awkward. He just snaps at you like, bloody-minded southern cunts. It just doesn't break eye contact with you the entire way until you're past.
Does anybody else speak Bravelander? I didn't understand a word he said.
I speak disgruntled guy. I think
And
he was
that's he was
insulted.
speaking in like, oh really? Oh,
And
I wish I was able to listen closer. I'd love to learn some Braveland curse words.
So, Saigar just kind of turns to Kylie. As a matter of fact, he called you a cunt and just keeps walking on.
Was that the translation? Oh, I'll have to hear that one again. That's a fantastic word.
The city isn't quite festive, but there are like colored lanterns that hang outside most of the doors, and like brightly colored shells and bells and decor as well, that as the wild winds whip through it, basically serve as very very basic like wind chimes, essentially. That are just big cowbells, essentially made of metal. And it's very clear that metal seems to be a commodity here. Everything is made out of either like hard packed snow with ceramic exteriors or large timbers for the sides of each buildings. And the little metal that you do see has almost all been turned into lanterns, where there are orbs of continual flame that just shed a constant, very off-white ivory colored light throughout the entire city.
These are the lanterns.
although-
These are the lanterns above the buildings, or these are lanterns on the street?
A little of both.
Okay.
There are like paper lanterns sort of strung throughout the city.
Okay.
But there's very little metal anywhere here. The houses themselves are all, again, just like tightly packed snow.
What does the general mood seem to be around town?
Driven, for lack of a better word. Everybody seems like they have a responsibility and a passion that they are just acting out over the course of the day. There's not a lot of like big city hustle and bustle here. Everybody moves fairly slowly, but everybody has their hands full carrying lumber or like pottery or fresh baked bread or things of that nature. And the smell of food and the hearth fires crackling in the snow is really, it sets an almost, it feels like there's like a single moment caught in time that if you were here 3 weeks from now or you were here a year ago, it wouldn't have changed much. To the far west, there is an entire like walled section of the city where there's about 50 or 60 people who are working in just hard labor, expanding out Voluntusk even further. And the more that you spend time in the city, the more you realize that there's actually lots of children being born here. Like most parents seem like they have like 2 or 3 young infants. But it's also noteworthy that it seems like the sort of general coming of age of this town, it looks like it's around like 13 or 14 years old, where there's kids around that age that seem like they have either their own homes or are working just as hard with the same kind of responsibility and given the same kind of respect as anybody who's in the 50 or 60 range with the horns and the Viking weaponry, and looks like they've lived a rough and difficult life.
Okay.
Can I ask quickly about the? I know that we're higher up. What's the weather? I know it's cold, like temperature-wise, but what's the weather like above?
The howl here seems like it moves almost like it's not moving counterclockwise to the rest of it, but it seems like the rest of the howl is constantly in a state of perpetual churning and chaos. Here above you directly, even though the lightning flashes with more ferocity here than anywhere else, and the thunder peals will deafen you every couple of seconds. Beyond that, the howl itself seems very, very still. In fact, there's almost spots where you can see through it, like the howl has been punched through multiple times. And the parts of it that you can see aren't that dreary, dismal gray that I've mentioned, but rather like an aurora of colors and rainbow hues.
I definitely wish I'd visited here sooner.
In some ways, it reminds me of Cendrillane.
You mean like how everybody has purpose?
No.
It's alright, I don't understand the Fae very well.
That's quite alright.
I made a couple of comparisons to Epitaph, but I think I take those back. Where I'm from, we've cultivated the opposite atmosphere.
Yeah, I think purpose is interesting as everyone at Epitaph appeared to have a purpose. I would call this more focus.
Yeah. Epitaph was a place where people went because they just wanted a place that they could live their own life. This isn't that. Also, I keep trying to look through the pockets up there because I've never seen what's past the howl. You know.
I mean, has anyone? Not in our lifetime,
They would-
right?
I have.
Oh, right. Of course. You told us about that.
Is it different?
What do you mean different?
Well, I mean, like, what's past the churning dark?
Well, I guess you could see it as more dark but less churning.
Aye, I can imagine that.
Just endless vastness with little sprinkles throughout. I don't know, even if I could describe it, it's hard for you to see it without seeing it.
It'd be nice to be able to take a look without knowing you'd have to lose your memories to do it.
This conversation is interrupted very briefly as a wolf, just like an ice wolf, races past you. The blue, frozen, almost spines that run down its back, just like shaking the entire time and jingling together as it chases a scaffa down one of the alleyways. And as you sort of like follow the gaze, you can see the scaffa runs right into a trap that's been pre-prepared by a handful of kids and an older gentleman, and they snap it down and then just do like a little excited happy dance and like high five, and it's very clear that the ice wolf trots over to them. This is something that they've been working on for the last couple of hours. Very little food, but an awful lot of work to get at, but they seem very joyous as a result.
Quite resourceful.
Except for the scaffa, he doesn't look thrilled.
You gotta work pretty hard to get food up here.
Shall we enter the city proper?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the first time we don't fuck one up.
I would not speak too soon. We just got here.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to set the mood early. We have a history. Every other one we've been to is gone. Except the Feywild.
Well, yeah,
Well-
Cendrillane is still standing.
Generous term.
We didn't manage to be successful in burning down the Ka city.
That's true. Didn't
us-
count that one being 10.
Yeah, give us time.
There's always another go.
A woodpecker-like bird lands directly on Saigar's hood and begins to sort of like basically pluck at the top of your scalp.
Wait, what?
Oh, no,
Jokes
it doesn't know that
aside,
it's empty.
no, just it's a small, just brown and sort of like a yellow-bellied bird, very chickadee-esque, but with a much longer beak. Just lands on your hood, Saigar, and just sort of begins to pick at it as if like looking for grubs or food or something on the top of your head.
Can I roll a nature check to tame it?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Not to identify, not to see what it is. I'm going full tame.
To dominate it.
Oh.
I'd like to acquire that animal, please.
Can I put it in my
I
bag
mean, it
like
landed on
loot?
me, so I mean,
It hops onto your hand as if it's already tame. Gives you like a look and like tilts its head to the side a little bit, and then flutters off to a nearby person's shoulder, who has like big ram horns strapped to each shoulder plate, like they're big pauldrons. Both of his eyes are empty sockets, and as the bird lands in one of the big mammoth pauldrons, it also like pecks this man on the side of the head, and he looks up towards it, and then just gives a little like a little whistle, and immediately the bird responds with a long, like almost an explanation whistle. And after a moment of this, this man sort of looks in your general direction. Again, empty socket eyes, can't see you, and kind of in the space between Saigar and Warren, just says, "2 buildings to the north, the red roof, that one there is where you'll find the Heartbinder." And then just goes back to chopping wood.
Did you see that? We didn't even ask anyone anything.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes.
What
thank
is
you.
a light?
Thank you.
The man doesn't respond. The bird and then flies off.
If I could whistle, I'd whistle back at it, but
I'm
I don't know how to whistle.
alright.
You just
That
put your lips
freaked me
together
out a
and blow.
little.
So red roofed building?
Seems like a good place to start as any, huh?
I mean, that's handy if they know where we wanted to go before we even did.
I wonder if that's like mind reading or it's just the only reason outsiders come here.
As you get sort of towards the northern part of town, people's clothing shifts from being warlike to being a little bit more decorative. And even though the city doesn't shift in structure or anything, you get the feeling that maybe this is more of a spiritual sort of district, if that makes sense. They all wear smocks with like big leather belt pouches and metal pitons and ropes and things of that nature. They all wear big leather gloves, and most of them around their necks have 4 or 5 or 6 bones in sort of a cascading style that also suggests that it might be some kind of like almost a ranking system, if that makes sense. But that doesn't strike you as being correct either. Somewhere between like notation of station or like family members or instrument or something like that. But when you finally do get to this red roof building, there are those of you who can sort of sense magical arcane energy immediately begin to feel just like the hairs on your necks or your beautiful little pixie heads or what have you just start to stand on end. And from the one single window on the second floor of this building, you can see like a bright, vibrant rainbow color emanating from the inside. Like trapped within might actually be a living aurora borealis, or like a living captured rainbow inside this very unassuming little shack.
Are we quite sure this is the building you said to go to? Because I'm a little afraid it's going to blow up.
Well, I guess I've never felt something like it before. But if there's only two that exist, it would maybe make sense.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an actual Heartbinder in there, I guess and there's only two of them left, they're probably really experienced at not blowing up.
I am honestly a little nervous. I know we're planning to go to the library, but I don't really know what else we want our relationship with these people to be.
Well, I mean, I think we came here under the guise of a diplomatic mission. I think we should be as diplomatic as we can. I mean, if we can
Okay.
build an alliance, any alliance we can make with any other nation or city or even any person can only help us when it comes to dealing with aggressive forces right on our doorstep, potentially.
True. And less conflict means less reason for our forces to get pissed off.
Also agreed.
Okay.
So I guess I mean this is the crazy lights are coming from the second floor still, or just or
They fill the building so fully that you can see the lights beaming out from a second story window.
oh god. Okay, so really careful, like gonna look for a bell or something, assume that there's not, and then really carefully knock.
A couple things happen simultaneously as you go to knock.
It explodes,
The
didn't it?
first is that all of a sudden you can hear the sound of the howl above you just like whoosh parting, and there's a peal of thunder that is absolutely deafening. To the point that all of you just have a brief moment where you are actually like, oh my god, are we in combat? What the fuck is going on? And the sound of the thunder and the lightning happen in such perfect unison that you realize it is directly above you. And as soon as you like have a moment to like kind of like realize that it's major and you look up, you actually watch as you can very, very clearly see like two bolts of lightning in the sky directly above you collide. And as they do so, right in the center of the collision, it looks like there's a moment of crystallization. And as soon as this happens, there's a bunch of people start shouting and calling, and a lot of the people from the Brave Lands here like start like beginning to chant and raise their hands. And as they do, you can tell that they're calling down to whatever this is. And very, very slowly from the heavens, as though it's still being like electromagnetized, is an enormous foundling stone that is greens and blues and purples and colors that you've never seen, that just like very, very quickly and erratically, and then again slowly when it gets sort of near the ground, just land in like a predetermined area as they begin to coax it down, calling to it, and it sort of lands in a field not too far from this house. And they begin to circle around it and sort of speak in deep tones, and it's almost like a weird sort of like consoling kind of expression. And the second thing that happens while you are still completely deaf and blinded momentarily from this flash of lightning is that the door opens, and there is a small gnomish woman wearing an animal skin hide cloak and an animal skull mask of some type, like a human version of a Cubone, and basically like opens the door right as you go to knock and looks at all of you, says something that none of you can hear, and then looks to Galadriel and says something that you miss all of it except for the very last word, which is summer. And then she gives you a little nod and just starts walking south.
I nod back and follow.
Before you start to follow, you can clearly see that on the inside of the building, she was like just leaving, and she's starting to make her way up to where the fallen crystal is located. But
Oh, shoot.
inside the building, it is that same kind of radiant rainbow light that just blasts out towards you. And it takes a second for your eyes to adjust, but as they do, you can see that on the inside of this structure, there appear to be about 6 or 7 of these enormous crystalline structures, more arcane residuum in life than you've ever seen anywhere. And very clearly, like visual images in each of them, you can see the shapes of living people, like the recently dead, who seem very calm and not panicked or terrified or anything of that nature. And there is an enormous device sort of centered on a center dais, basically, that looks like it is arcane in nature, but it is some kind of bizarre amalgamation of like very basic kind of technological magic, like the kind of thing that you would see in Port Iron-Gast. And it's all brass and bone and very primal in nature.
Jeez.
So wait, the person walked out the door, or they walked back in?
There was a gnomish woman who walked past you towards sort of the fallen crystal, but you were not alone in this building.
Gotcha.
And the door just sort of stands open in front of you.
I'm sorry, I think we're all a little flabbergasted at the way this map looks. This is fucking stunning.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, yeah, Warren like shirks back, like he's just, even though it's irrational, there's like that little part of him that's just afraid to get his magic absorbing self near any of this.
And very, very quietly, almost under his breath, but too loud so people can hear it, Kyvius is like looking around going, I want one of these.
I'm pretty sure they're people.
Okay.
From the
I want
the
to look
second
as
floor.
pretty as these people.
Am I still coming through?
Yes.
Just
Yes,
a second.
sorry.
From the second floor, there is an old woman who is so gnarled up with just like leathered aged skin. Very clearly has like a whole bunch of medical conditions where her skin is like lumpy and bumpy and almost appears like myconid in nature. Dressed in very, very simple attire, sort of spots all of you and calls out, "Oh, coming, just a moment." And starts making her way down the ladder very, very slowly, one rung at a time.
Yeah, she looks really familiar. We saw her, right?
Briefly, as kids at the Concord of Leaves. I don't think we even heard her speak.
Just another minute.
Take your time.
You'd think with all the bones around here, I could get some new ones. And when she does eventually get to the bottom, she makes her way over again, incredibly slowly and unhurried, and brushes some residuum dust off her hand, which just, you watch as it immediately sort of just tethers to one of the nearest crystalline structures and just cements itself against it. And says, "Well, so you're the new kings of the Western Mountains, I take it. How should I address you?"
No titles.
I look at Kyrie.
I mean, just our names is fine.
Our names are lovely, yes. I mean, I got called a fancy new name right when I walked in the door. Maybe he was trying to honor us?
Yes, I'm sure that's what was going on.
called me a cunt.
Her lips turn upwards and just like an inadvertent smirk before going back to being serious faced.
But no, please, we don't really do titles. We go by our names. I'm Kyvius. It's lovely to meet you again. I'm sorry, you look so familiar. I'm certain we've seen you before.
I get that an awful lot, and Kyvius, don't worry about the little nickname. One of the benefits of living in these lands is that nobody comes to Volan thus expecting a warm welcome, and I don't intend on surprising you in that regard either.
I got what you just did, and I loved every word of it. So did Galadriel. I just know it.
My grin is visible, yes.
I hate to disappoint you all. I do have work to do. How may I entertain the kings of the Western Mountains?
Yeah. I think better of myself and just kind of stop talking.
Well, it's just this whole matter of how you're handling things here. It's just so different from what we're used to, and it's a solution that we failed to find ourselves. Just how did you find out about how life works here, how the cycle of life works around here, and how to circumvent the inevitability that we all face?
Life works here the same way that it works everywhere else. We just have the forethought to listen to the gods who guide us. We are very lucky that we have all managed to come behind the teachings of one single unified force. This is the natural result when humans and elves and dwarves and halflings live more like the gods would, if they were in our shoes.
You say gods, but you seem to all be unified under a single deity. Is there room for more philosophies in the Brave Lands?
Room, but not necessity. Cord guides everything that we do here. He is enough. Any god would be enough if you simply listen.
Have your people dealt much with Coraline?
By choice, no, she says. You'll have to forgive me for saying so, Kahilani. It's a personal preference.
Please, no offense taken.
You are seeing a community built by strength. Nothing more.
Strength takes many forms. There's strength of hand, used to build or demolish. There's also strength of mind, strength of will. Was this built by all of those strengths, or just a couple?
You might not be coming through, Steel.
Nice.
What just happened? Why are you laughing? Did he say something?
He said,
Oh,
fuck.
yeah, he said fuck. There it is.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's going to be a reoccurring thing. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Right, correct, Kyvia. Strength is a word used by the very vain or the very foolish to describe only the physical. Strength is everything that you had mentioned. It's making the hard choice. In fact, I tell you this now as a fact that I'm sure that you will recognize, and not as the religious ramblings of a senile old woman. If Cord didn't want you to be here, if you had simply trotted up to our gates without reason long ago, you would already be dead. I know that you acknowledge this, yes?
I mean, if a god wanted me dead, yeah, there's very little I could do about it.
People who wander northward for selfish reasons, whose shadows darken the snow simply to satisfy their wanderlust or curiosity or with insignificant requests, they are torn to shreds by the dangerous nature of this realm. And it is instead strength of character that must have brought you here. But you did not distract me from my work to discuss philosophy, did you?
No, but I'm having a fantastic time doing it. I apologize. We should get back to the original point.
That does make one of us, yes. How can I help you today?
Did you have one, Kyvius?
Listen,
I'll take that as a no.
Go ahead, Saigar. You are the voice after all.
Please. Have some decorum, you two.
We're coming here for a couple of reasons. First, hopefully to build some sort of connection between us. So, something to more unify these lands and bring about a better future for all of us, to avoid something possibly horrible in the future. And also, we are looking for somebody who we think might be lost somewhere and probably in trouble.
She snorts in a very unladylike fashion. If you've come seeking information, your trajectory is off. Ioun's wisdom lies far east of here. West of here, that's what I meant to say. We can trade you meals of Ragmunk and Azure Kai in exchange for medicines, coals, and irons, and... Am I not coming through again?
No, you're
No,
coming
you're
out.
good.
I saw Benji flickering. And I am happy to tell you that we do not require your assistance here. So it will be a very brief conversation. Unless you mean to bring war to our borders, then we have nothing to discuss.
I would.
It's not about war or anything. It's just you know what happens when people die, right? About your whole civilization, everything there.
She smiles at you and says, "Tell me what happens."
Well, a few options, right? They either face complete and total obliteration for all eternity, or if they're strong enough, they fall back as one of these stones. Or the third option, where they are reformed into something special.
Which has two versions. Some are reforged into items that carry on their will, and some are turned into weapons of war through a process I don't really understand.
Well, no, you're missing an option there. If you wish to know the nature of the dark prison above us, then here is what I would suggest. As kings, take a small child and lock them away behind bars of steel. Remove them from the natural order of things, and then just observe their entire life go by. Watch them wither and lose the will to continue on, and eventually just be no more. Strip away the memories of the soul, and you're doing the exact same thing. And if you imagine perhaps that after 20 or 30 years of this torment of this child who no longer has a reason to live, you tell them that they are released to go be a weapon instead. Cord does not allow this travesty to befall us. From the day that we're born, he gives us the strength to rend the bars of these cage and take our freedom, or, in the rare moments that his presence is needed, he does it himself. Have you never asked yourselves why a spell that's designed to influence the mind, grand as the one that makes up the dark prison might be, ripples with divine lightning and peals of thunder? That is the Storm Father's influence.
So, your god helps your people pass on?
Not just all of us. Not just us, but the people that he deems worthy of being saved. And this is a temporary state. Someday the prison will be destroyed, and our people will once again rejoin the stars, as will everyone.
Is that what you're doing with the stones when they descend here? Is you're sealing them for later when they can go rejoin the rest of your people?
Quite right, yes. And calling them stones has always struck me as interesting. What do you Southerners call them? Foundling stones?
That's the parlance that people typically use, yes.
I've
That is
heard
such
magic monster rock as well.
magic. Yes, that is such a remarkable name. Especially when you consider the meaning of the term. A foundling, in your parlance, is people, lost souls, who are abandoned by the normal course of fate and destiny. Right? It's always interesting to me that most people describe precisely the nature of what they see as simple falling stars as foundling, as lost people, without ever wondering why that's what they're called. And then they take this object, which they have given the name and described as a tragic abandoned person stripped of a normal life, and they put it in a basement somewhere and forget about it and use it to make fire appear by snapping their fingers instead of striking a match. I hope that you kings of the West have a little more sense than that.
We should, but we don't.
I would not credit us with
Well-
much sense, but we have avoided the use of foundling stones ourselves in the West, yes.
Part of what drew us here was actually discovering what happens to those locked in the stone who don't get the same peace you provide. It's pretty awful. It's hard to use that power after bearing witness to what it looks like.
This is why there is no discourse necessary between your people and ours. Our path is set.
What if we could show you where we could all take down this magic that's keeping us here, and so we wouldn't have to worry about these sorts of things?
Then I would say that you insult me by suggesting that our purpose is already insignificant to whatever you have planned without knowing anything about us.
I'm saying that working alone would be much harder facing the threats that we know about.
We are anything but alone. And she points a finger upward, and as she does so, as if on cue, as if she did it, there is a peal of thunder that rattles the windows in the building. I haven't introduced myself. I am Mother Rilla. I am one of two heartbinders who weaves life and land together as the dark lady weaves death in the sky. The other heartbinder is following his own dark path in the wilds. And you knowing our purpose is not going to serve you, because it will not deter us. In fact, it won't do anything except put me in danger. And is that what you're here for?
That would not be our intention, no, not to put you in any danger.
Good. Then we will speak no more of it.
Did anybody ask the way to the library? Not yet. May we change the subject then? Would that be agreeable?
As long as it is brief.
Oh, yes, of course, sorry. Yeah, terribly chatty I am. We wanted to try and make our way to to the library. We were wondering if we could maybe get some directions on how to get there. That's true. 100% true, Kaz.
It is west. You will find a frozen waterfall and you will climb it. And if you are not ripped to bits and pieces by the creatures of the wild, you will see it on the horizon soon enough. It is nearly impossible to miss.
Thank you. That was the only question I had, and I didn't know if you guys had other Heartbinder related questions.
I just so few nations left on Rios, and I always worry that the divide of each of them will eventually lead to the downfall of all.
Cord bends us so that when the moment comes, we will not break. Many nations have broken.
So if you're saying if we were gonna have a conflict of nations, we should do it here because you people would be ready. Not to you, of course.
She taps a finger on her chin and says, "Sometimes I think that the only reason there are only, I suppose, 3 now nations still remaining is that none of them wish to quarrel."
They don't, but
You don't think the Ka wants to quarrel?
Do you?
Well,
I think they
don't
want to
think they want
quarrel. I think by our definition, yes.
well, no. But
That might
They
not
ch-
be their
they-
intent, but it is the result of their intent.
right.
Can whoever is taking the lead in the conversation, and I think it's Saigar in this case, can you roll diplomacy for me?
It's been Kyrius. There's no way it's been Saigar through all
All right,
this.
I'll take a Kyvius diplomacy. I'll
Yeah,
give you.
I'm
If you would
confused
be,
right now, sorry.
can Saigar and Kyvius both roll diplomacy for me?
Why do I need to roll diplomacy?
You don't have to. It's DC 20. Oh my god.
Oh god.
I
Crush
don't
it.
think you want me rolling, but I suppose I am the voice.
I'm curious.
Hey.
Nat
Oh.
1. There you go.
25.
She looks at the two of you and says, "We don't need to quarrel with them, not while dissent from within still exists. They claim to be unified, and perhaps they were once in their native plane. But, in the mortal realm, there is always an element of chaos and dissent and rebellion, and they have not recognized the threat from within that prepares even now to bring an end to their evils."
Yeah. Which is why it helps. Warren takes an inappropriate time to make a quip, which is why it helps to make friends with outliers who might cause dissent within them, especially those who might be controlled.
By the way, I'm sorry. You asked us how you should address us. What we didn't ask in return is how we should address you. Would it be Heartbinder? Would it be Madam? Would it be? How would you like us to address you?
It makes no difference to me, although don't let Zukev or Bear Daughter hear you refer to me as anything other than Heartbinder.
I like that name, so I'm just gonna use that. Heartbinder, you've shared philosophical wisdom with us today, in addition to some interesting tidbits of wisdom beyond your borders. You clearly have a knowledge that would be really helpful in our travels ahead and in the growth of our nation and the aid and succor of our people. While you're right, we don't really have any intention of changing you or bringing any kind of trouble to your lands, we think we could learn much from your people and their ways. In that regard, a dialogue would be most beneficial to us, and if there was any way that we could reciprocate, we would be more than happy to. But it would please us incredibly if there was a way to open up that kind of conversation so that our people could learn from yours.
She gives you a look and says, if you want truth, then you are much better off strapping yourself to a spike and waiting out until the storm comes and hope you get struck by lightning. There's more wisdom in that than anything I have to say.
I kind of love her.
Right.
And besides, if you want more information, seek the other Heartbinder. I get the impression that you would get along better with him than you will with me.
And Kyvius grins when she says that, and he and says, "Oh, I think you don't give yourself enough credit." Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Shit, she's a Mark character. God damn it, it happened again.
Very briefly, there is a shape like that, like pushes itself to the side of the foundling stone, and like it's a person's face panicking. And she says, "Just a moment," and turns towards it and begins to sing some kind of strange song in the Bravelands tongue. And as she does so, I think that my character token has broke again because everything is broken on Roll20.
It popped up for us.
She's
Yeah,
a tree.
She's
Yeah.
a tree.
Fantastic.
You're at tree.
Imagine her facing the other direction because again, all my shit's broken. But as she begins to like slowly sing to this deep guttural like throat singing kind of song to the person within, they begin to like panic less and begin to like drift back, and their shape begins to dissipate a little bit. And several large, just almost like branches of green light sort of extend from her back, and almost like a sort of a growth motif before it begins to fade. And then she looks back at all of you after a moment and says, I really do have to wrap things up here.
No, please, go back to your duties. I can't tell you how much we have appreciated what you have been able to offer, whether you call it wisdom or not.
Are you the one who bound Ashton the Third?
She laughs out loud. I have known very few men to manage that degree of obnoxiousness.
You know, I said similar things when I first met Warren.
He is not less obnoxious.
But it is the hallmark of the gods and the wise to recognize strength of character, even if they find its manifestation to be tiresome. You know, Cord himself was a warmonger, no different than the late king in that respect. And the choices that face each of us are different, and what might seem like an obvious path to you might be a tragedy for someone else. This ash tongue trod our sacred lands, and broke bread with us, discoursed drunkenly with our sages, died on a quest to demand the truth, returned, even though doing so was the hardest possible decision of his life, and we sealed him gladly. It was an honor.
So he really does just sort of wait for that purpose to come to him down there.
He took the harder choice, and Cord honors him.
I have to ask in his stead. And You guys know anything about that step past being bound to being alive again? He hasn't figured that part out.
She says, there are other gods who deal with that.
I'm a little familiar.
Indeed. One of the avatars of the Dark Lady lives within the blizzard. You'd be well to ask her.
The one around the library?
Oh!
Side
Indeed.
quest acquired.
He'd be pretty grateful. He did actually manage. This will blow you away, at least. He did manage a bit of thanks towards what you guys did for him. I think that's the only one you'll get is this many years later.
That doesn't interest me in the slightest.
Fair.
Knowing that there was not going to be war brought to our borders, no disruption of our way of life is all that I ask. And it sounds that we are in agreement on that.
Agreed. We don't wish to change anything here as much as we wouldn't wish for you to change anything with us.
Good.
We're merely hoping to find what we're looking for.
Good. And tell me honestly, if you have killed any of our kin on the way here.
No?
Well, we wouldn't want to be dishonest. There was some... No one accosted us on the way here, save for some monsters in the mountains. But we did not... unless you consider those kin, I can say we did not kill any of your kin on the way here.
She arches a brow and says, you managed to path through the mountains.
Oh, yes. Yes, we were advised that if we took any path other than the mountains, we would be brutally assaulted at every way station along the way.
Very wise.
I think the exact words he used were, do not force my kin to kill you, or to be killed by you.
To rob them of their choice.
Yes, that one.
Very much so. And you found your way here without aid?
No, we met someone along the way who managed to guide us in safely.
At the top of the mountain,
He's a very personable fellow. He's very chatty. He's a good representation of your people. Handsome, very polite, good with his tools. Just have to
he's
say,
a bugbear.
like 10 out of 10 stars.
He's a
What is
bugbear.
A bugbear?
Yeah,
Does he bear a two-handed axe?
big one.
Quite powerful.
Exactly.
I see. Well, then perhaps you may want to disregard all of the advice that I gave you about seeking the other Hardbinder, since you are already one step ahead.
Is
He knows
he
where the other
Hardbinder?
Hardbinder is.
The bugbear.
Melgar is the other Hardbinder.
Of course he is.
You mentioned a dark path, did you?
I did. And that would be something that you would be much better talking to him about if he'll allow it.
Yes,
Probably
Understood.
not.
if you could... Now, moving on from business to personal advice, he hasn't been very chatty. Do you know how to get him gabbing? Like, what, really gets him, talking?
Of course I do.
Would you like to share that with us?
I think that this is more fun, she says. But you should know that there is a reason for his lack of sense of humor. He is doomed, after all.
Oh,
Oh, you hate to see it.
She sort of shrugs her shoulders. It's his choice. I won't go into full details, but when Cord long ago sundered the island in half, a single splinter of his weapon broke free. And at first we safeguarded it in case it was ever needed by him again, but over time we've come to realize it was left for us. And so it was reforged by Neforja, Veda's Flame Dancer, the only smith who could bear true divinity in his hands, and it has been passed down from person to those subsequently worthy of its weight. And the bearer is doomed. Their life is over the moment they heft that weapon, because they walk the fine line between mortal and god. And the difficult choices of the gods, the absolute weight of them, is far too great for our souls to bear. The other Heartbinder, Melgar, will either save the people of the Brave Lands from the coming destruction of the island, or he will doom us. And either way, it is a decision that he makes at the cost of his own life. He is the opposite to my path.
And
Likewise.
Cord is really metal.
And this destruction of the island, do you know what will lead to it? That's something that we've also been looking for.
I do, and you should speak to Melgar about this. The gods give us these choices for a reason. And it is his decision. And I believe you will find that he travels to the library as part of his last opportunity to learn what he needs to learn before he is truly doomed.
Yeah, we'll do that. The only last thing, promise, is the car. Their forge. I imagine their style of imprisonment is rather different than this. Did they take that knowledge from you? Your people?
She says, that knowledge was stolen from us.
The knowledge
The
of the forged.
The knowledge of binding a soul to a body.
The way, not of all forged, but of some of the ones that I've seen, like Polo.
Heartbinders before us have made difficult decisions. That was one of them.
Is this something that Cord passed along to you?
In a sense.
I am sure that could be said of much.
When it comes to the gods, it's pretty easy to attribute everything to them. But you may wander the city freely, trade with our merchants if you like, and you will not be troubled here. And if you swear to me that you will not hunt the beasts of the wild for sport on the roads ahead, I will ensure that bloodshed will not be a necessity.
I look towards Saigar.
Everyone looks towards Saigar.
I just pretend no one's looking at me.
The grandma looks towards Saigar.
Yeah, man.
So, don't hunt them for sport. Defend ourselves if we're attacked? Or just avoid them?
It won't be necessary.
Okay.
I think we are in agreement.
Good.
Yeah, the less hardship we have to face getting before the library would be better. That's going to be bad enough.
Well, then welcome to Volenthusk. May your departure be swift, and may you may take a part of it away with you. And may your life be incredibly taxing, and your choices painful, and your footsteps ever thunderous.
And to you, Heartbinder.
Hope it doesn't get worse than the year I've already had. But it could.
Listen, if there's one thing we know is it can always get worse. I like her. Can we like come back and visit her again someday? Because she's kind of awesome.
As you all turn to leave and the door closes behind you, the very last thing you hear is her going, "Whoof! A Gahilani in my very own building. Hot binder, more like hot binder."
Fuck off.
God damn it.
We have to send Galad alone next time.
And you're back out in the streets. Melgar, at this point in time, like, you've been standing outside the city and waiting for a while, and I
At
imagine,
least
like,
5 minutes.
at least, yeah, somewhere in the 5 minutes to an hour range. Are you still sticking around as you can sort of see them, like, beginning to leave, like, Mother Rilla's, or, I'm so sorry, Grandmother Rilla's abode, and start being like, should we fucking trade before we leave? Should we get some grub? Do we need rope before we go to this eternal blizzard? Do you ever intercept the group, or do you just continue waiting?
I'll like, if I can see them, I'm gonna assume they can see me. So I'm just gonna be at the gate, just staring at them.
Do you think...
We're gonna wave.
Wave.
I see him. Look it. There he is.
do you
He's
think
the
he
one
wants
that
us
we
get
have to
something?
talk to.
Do you think... the whole way there.
All right. I mean, Erie, I know you usually can't pass through a town without doing a little shopping, but shall we move on?
Well, I hate to delay us any, but a new shield would be preferable.
Yeah, we packed the extra food for the trip. We can make it brief. He'll be okay. Or we'll have to chase after him when he gets bored and leaves.
All
Or
right.
find up something shiny or pointy or something.
Well, why don't you guys go shopping and I'll go keep him company to make sure he doesn't leave us?
I think that's more likely to make him leave.
The thing is, I think he was really taking to me on the way here, and I just
think-
like to keep that
Definitely
going.
not.
No,
100%
am,
no.
am I misreading?
You're banned.
Oh, okay.
I feel that if any in our company would share a bond with Melgar, it would be Saigar at this time.
But they're both so broody and silent. They just sit there and not even talk.
That's
Yes,
what I mean.
exactly.
Oh, you think he'd enjoy that? Oh, Saigar. Okay, yeah, good idea.
Pass.
See?
Oh, that is also
See?
true. Saigar did want to go shopping. I don't think he knows how to turn down shopping.
All right. Well, we should at least let him know. And I'd turn around and yell, "We're going to do some quick shopping." Probably with no
He's
response.
gonna just start turning around and walk.
He's leaving. Just saying.
Oh, the slow blink in Kaz's webcam killed me.
God, I feel it so much, though.
Where's he? He's leaving the town? He's just walking into the snow?
Yeah, like he's not like sprinting or jogging. He's just walking.
We'll
But
just
he's
Right,
walking
yeah.
west.
we'll catch back up. We've got to hurry. Get our shopping
With
done.
haste, then.
Yes.
I have the hood that can see both directions. I'll keep him company. And by that I mean make sure he doesn't get too far.
Well, we don't need much anyway. Just like a new shield for Galad and maybe some warmer clothes for people who might need it.
I bet they have a lot warmer clothes here. If you see that, I'll take something.
Erie, it's less warmer clothes and more just like a cotton ball in Erie set.
Who is stopping by the trading post really quickly?
I would love to take a peek and see if they've got a shield.
Apparently, all of us.
Except for Warren.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really need more stuff if we're being honest.
That's fair. And I'm going to hold you to keeping that be true. The trading post is just it like is half designed for like woodworking and carpentry, and you almost miss it because the windows are just frigid ice frozen shut. And you think that it actually is like at first glance basically some kind of just carpentry shack, and it's called the Lumber Hulk Trading Post. If it were not for the fact that there are people who are walking out talking about like commissioning dozens of shields or dozens of swords for the new generation, and when you do push yourself inside this building, it is a little embarrassing that immediately kind of you can sort of sense the magical artifacts and knickknacks and doodads that have been sort of tossed haphazardly under piles of wrenches and saws, or there's like a beautiful phoenix feather that has what looks like basically a pile of paint that's like half sitting on with just big droplets of it like prepared to just drip onto it. Things half covered in sawdust.
It's very disorganized.
And we're going to do this super, super quick so we can get back into the game properly. You can purchase masterwork weapons or armor here at half price. Any +1 weapon, armor, whatever you might need is half gold. You can just tell me out of game what you want. I don't think there'll be combat today. They have fucking everything floating around, and they will take gold for that stuff. But the proprietor, who I'm going to quickly give a name to and call Zukev, who looks like a World of Warcraft commission character, basically does draw your attention to about 7 or 8 different magical items, if that is sort of what you're in the market for. And when you're like, cool, what do they cost? He just sort of shrugs his big, meaty shoulders and basically says that he's open to trade for any of these things. And I'd love to give you just a quick little list if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I will say Warren leaves his Skedet blade with the group in case they want to use that for bartering.
It's the Skedet blade.
It's my +2 sword.
How many swords have you had?
I've gone the whole range, 1 to 2 to 3.
And also the quill.
Oh, right. Well, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Negative
0,
1 to 0
1,
to 1,
2, 3,
2 to 3 to 4
negative
to 6.
1, question mark to 6. Yeah. Cool. And he says, is there anything that catches your eye?
Sorry, were you giving us a list first, or did you want us to ask about things?
Nah, you just go ahead and ask.
All right. That is a really very nice looking phoenix feather ring gauntlet. What are those things?
He says, well, the gauntlet is a Fire Titan's gauntlet. It belonged to Hereltivar Slaveborn, usurper of Queen Held of Mamaderia, Titan Kingdom, long fallen to the northeast. It's best suited for those who show a mastery of flame. The other one, it's a feather of a phoenix. Gifted to a shield sister. Not much more to say about that.
Thank you, good sir. I would love to know more precisely how a master of the flame could utilize that gauntlet.
Do I look like a master of the flame to you?
Well, I didn't want to presume, but may I test out the merchandise before making any decisions then?
Absolutely not. Do you speak giant, though?
I do not. Although
Probably.
I could listen to giants speak and understand them.
Interesting. It probably won't serve you as well as somebody who's descended from the Fire Titans. But anybody who's capable of channeling fire magic or fire with your attacks will find your attacks strengthened as a result when these gauntlets are worn.
That sounds familiar.
What about this mask here?
As the mask of the predator, it's suitable for those who fight with an animal companion. That's adorable, Eerie.
Yeah,
I thought it would just show up behind it.
And what of this?
There's the Storm Cleric's girdle, belonged to one of our finest warriors. He wielded a hammer of lightning and he never fell in battle. It's mostly a kind of thing that might be of greatest use to the devout of court.
Ah,
If it never fell in battle, how do you have it?
God, that's dark, Saigar.
I mean, he could have fallen out of battle.
He's actually a tailor now.
Or just given up battle. Like, that's also an option.
What's this weird, like, sword-like thing here? Is it a bug?
Well, that's actually the Slayer's sheath. It's hard to tell. He walks over to it and like opens the maw of this draconic-looking monster beast, and it responds almost like a sentient living thing, and then basically just like jams his whole hand in there and pulls it out a second later. Weapons that rest within the sheath hunger for battle and become capable of rendering scales and sundering shields more effectively, but mostly it's of use for those who were born under the celestial sign of the Beast Tamer, and who walk two paths the way that Sayanine does.
Beast Tamer? Was that the hybrid one?
Yeah.
Ah.
What's in this bottle? Is it just booze?
It's not entirely booze. It's called the Elixir of Giant Strength. It will give you a temporary burst of physical might in a bottle.
I'm not sure I need that. I'm very strong already.
And finally, what's this mail of armor on this counter here?
It's a Wendigo Rider's shawl. It was taken from an Atoth when my grandson thought to use an axe to remove the head from the body before the winds claimed the vestige and granted it full form once more. Smart grandson I have. But it's a cursed thing that I'd be glad to be rid of.
How exactly is it cursed?
More cursed items, you say? I'm building a collection.
I just don't think people should be walking around wearing anything related to them cannibal beasts.
what of this brilliant axe here?
It's the Hailbreaker. It is carved from unmelted ice. It is a traditional weapon that I wielded when I was a younger lad. No arcane powers of note, as far as I can tell. Although I never did get frostbite while I wore it. While I wielded it.
It is certainly fearsome looking. I mean, not to say that your current arraignment is any less fearsome looking, but that is also a very fearsome looking axe.
Hey, she's not bad.
All right. So when we asked about prices, he shrugged.
He's open to negotiation.
Exactly right. If you have any sour berries or pork belly, rubber, metals you might have, always
I'm-
willing to trade.
Considering our new traveling companion and what we are kind of going to be relying on through him, would we think this elixir here would be something he'd be interested in as a thank you?
Oh. I mean, he was very ferocious. Something that could make him even more ferocious might be right up his alley.
See Kaz smiling.
I mean, either that or who wouldn't want to see a giant Kyvius, right? Nobody else coughing? Cricket?
Giant Eerie, please. Let's get
Yes,
this
please.
stuff in order.
Oh, good
It
point.
was
It's not a giant potion. It's a like giant strength potion, right?
Elixir of Giant Strength, correct.
It doesn't make you giant. It just makes you big, strong, like giant.
Makes
Not
you
big.
Hulk out.
It's just
Rivian,
steroids.
What
Honestly, also, as weird as it sounds, people just upgrading their empty slots at half price isn't bad.
Yeah, if you're like missing any +1 armor or +1 neck piece.
Which I most definitely am.
Yeah, I just have an I have an arm slot, a ring slot, and a waist slot that's empty. But I
Well,
don't
those
think
those won't give you any masterwork +1 anything.
right.
I have
Neither-
I have a neck, arm, hand, and waist empty.
A neck would be a good investment, just to boost all your secondaries
Yeah.
going.
And we can talk about, like, if you guys are spending gold, this is again an after game session thing if you guys want to do it that way.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, instead of us sitting here. So yeah, we make our purchases.
Do we have any? Sorry, do we have any idea what the Phoenix feather might do?
He has no idea. It's a big old mystery.
Okay.
That iconography has been kind, though.
Yeah,
It's probably worth to pick that up.
Agreed.
that's what I was thinking. And I'll look at the shields.
Oh yeah, that might be worth getting now.
In the dock.
Yeah.
Cool. We will assume that you're rocking like a +1 standard shield, and again, the prices for all of the stuff is going to be halved here. Can't do better than that, unfortunately. But
+1 shields don't exist.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's just the standard.
Yeah.
+1 reflex, +1 AC.
Well, he's going heavy shield, I believe.
Oh,
aren't you,
heavy
Vlad?
shield.
No, I think I've just got light shield proficiency.
Oh, okay. All right. As a
Heavy shield
warlord,
would
no, I think
totally
you do both.
clash. I don't know. Heavy shield would really clash with my
That's
outfit,
fair.
though.
That's fair. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and toss the +1 AC and reflex to your sheet there when you have a chance. But yeah, for the magical stuff, anything catch your eye, or are you just window shopping?
For the magical stuff, yes. I think that glove is handsome and would look lovely adorning my wrist.
Do not disagree. But you got anything you're willing to trade?
The only thing we really brought with us that is kind of worthy of trade are these shiny metal coins we use for trade. I'm going through my own personal possessions here, and oh yeah, and we got food, but you guys have got plenty of food, I think. Yes, no, I know you made. Yes, we brought tons of food. So like, I could array some of the assortment of delicacies that we brought with us from Docus Ur. I could show him the gold that we have. I don't know if that would do any good.
You got save honey.
We've got. I mean, yeah, but I don't want to. I didn't want to. I was trying to look through my own stuff for stuff to trade because I'm sure other people I didn't want to trade with group stuff.
Yeah, you guys definitely brought enough food from High Helm again, from Docus Ur, that like you could certainly trade it for one piece, no questions asked.
Oh.
Just like crates worth of stuff for sure.
All right. If no one else is going to speak up, I'm going to snag that glove.
Okay. Yeah, he passes it over to you and says, "It's gonna look cunning on you."
Well, I appreciate that. It does. Okay. Does resist stack?
It does not.
That's what Kyvia said, but I heard "shut up, baby." I know it.
Neat.
Some other people were talking about the feather if they were interested.
I think we should.
What's the purpose of this feather exactly?
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. Yeah, that's exactly why we think we should.
It's
get
a
it.
Tantalizing.
I think we should probably take the feather, and I'd like to take the potion. That'd be nice.
Yeah, definitely.
It would look cunning in your hat, if you don't mind me saying so. Glasses.
Glasses. Feather glasses.
I was referring to you when I said glasses. I would look cunning in your hat, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, what do we have to trade for that?
Warren sword.
Oh yeah,
Warren's soul.
I heard
He already
Warren's
traded
remaining
that.
strength.
I'm gonna go negative at this point.
Raven Queen has a soul, Feywild has a strength. You can't trade with things he's already given away.
All right,
Yep.
yeah, I'll offer the sword for the
Okay.
feather.
He asks you to go ahead and throw in Warren's old armor as well, just the basic hide armor, and you'll make a deal.
Oh yeah, yes.
All right, I shake on it.
That's gonna. You're gonna have to work hard to get the stank out of that. That's been through a lot of epitaph.
Then
Do
I
I
guess
have a-
for the
Card for this? Oh, I do.
Oh, that's cool. I was
Pretty
like, oh, that's
fucking
not
good.
much. And then I got to the second paragraph, or the second sentence, and I said, oh, it's not consumed?
Not consumed.
Is it a slot or is it just something that
It's
you
a
hold?
passive thing.
Damn.
it's just
Just
a
if you have
wondrous
it on
item.
you.
Then I guess
Uh,
for
Yeah, and just as a side note, I know that seems overpowered. It wouldn't have been here if you guys didn't do something earlier in the adventure, but that's fine. Just it's a really good pickup.
I
Huh.
wonder what it was we did.
for the potion, guess we could offer him the wizard beans because we never use those.
I think
Either
I
that
cut
or
those up.
the oil that we also never used.
You guys giving away my wizard beads?
You don't even eat them.
That's because I'm saving them for the final battle. I've used them 3 times. If he won't take anything else, you can take the beads. I do like.
We'll see if the fancy poison oil would be sufficient. And I don't know, because I remember last session too that because of our streetwise checks, we were going to have some special bonus when dealing with some merchants in the next town, if I recall correctly,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
to lower costs.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Who gives him the pitch for the wizard beans?
These wizard beans are carefully cultivated candies from the Summer Realms, handcrafted by the Gahilani themselves.
Listen, they taste good and give you some bonuses.
He looks shocked and he says, I'm sorry, I should have recognized. Nothing in this shop is capable of matching the value of something taken straight from the Summer Realms. But I do have something special that I've been saving for a rainy day. It's a deck of cards, magical cards.
No.
No, no,
Go
no, no.
It's also been taken from the realms of the Fae, and if you would be willing to trade your wizard beans for my deck of many something or others, I would be happy to make that trade.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
No.
This seems like a very, very poor choice.
I'm afraid that's up to
No.
Eerie.
Erie wants them. Are you kidding me?
Did somebody say gambling?
Kind sir, we will happily take your trade. Enjoy those beans. We will enjoy these cards very much.
He goes upstairs. He takes your wizard beans away. I'm going to go ahead and drop the card just one more time so you guys can remember how incredible the wizard beans were that you've traded away now. And
yeah, they're fine.
from upstairs, he brings down this black and gilded box with an eye motif on the top. And when he opens it, set like gingerly in like a beautiful indent is a same deck. It's about 20 cards or so. and you can just feel the power radiating it from it. Like it's almost too much power for one person to handle. And he passes it over to you, and he says, "This too was taken from the lands of the Fae. Each of the cards possesses an incredible power. You've got to use it well." And you take a look at the deck of cards, and you can see that they are also like a dark purple black color with beautiful gilded gold lattice, and each one is marked with an open eye on the back of the card.
I haven't seen one of these since the slumber parties of my grade school days.
Would you like to draw a card?
Who are you asking?
Galadriel, obviously.
What do you think, Geary?
I mean, that's your choice.
He says, bubbling with excitement.
Are you feeling lucky?
Wait, I thought we're getting the entire deck of cards. Why are you drawing one?
The power radiating from this deck is almost too much for one person to hold. I'm gonna turn the music off. We need a different tune for this.
We are getting the whole deck. He's just asking if we want to draw one now.
It's like a
Drawing a card from the deck, Saigar, typically invokes the magic of the deck.
This is the GM/God asking, "Hey, you gonna draw a card?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you?
You don't
would
know.
You like
You don't
to
know.
draw
This,
a card?
you don't know
Gladly?
what this deck really is.
We're assuming we know what the deck is, but it could be something else.
I recognize the song.
Dang, I'm not hearing it.
That's
It's
okay.
when-
Would you like to
It's
draw
when
a
creepy
card?
things happen.
I'm scared as hell, but I feel like Glad would, especially after he just compared it to a Ouija board.
Can you roll a d20 for me?
All right.
Please be a 1.
Remember that "this kills the Galad" meme?
Okay. Galad, your mind is flooded immediately with information drawn from all corners of the universe. And as you feel your mind expanding, you realize that you now know everything there is to know about what is pictured on the front of the card. And as you turn and show your allies, they all can see the single word clearly printed on the card itself and the image that is on there. And it appears to be an image of a very nice white wine sauce, as all of the secrets of the known universe when it comes to making the perfect bechamel flow into Galadriel's mind.
Saigar, I have
Wait.
so much to tell you.
Wait, one of those is not like the other.
Does it say a sauce elemental?
Get sauced.
Oh my god.
I knew you wouldn't give us that.
Is there anything else to introduce you, my lord?
Oh, you've already done so much for us.
I mean, do you want to throw in this potion? You can take it off your hands. It's just building dust here.
Yeah, you guys barter with him for a bit, and you eventually settle on a deal that has the star chart and the winter bloom locket and the oil of Taggett in exchange for the potion. Sound good?
Oh, the star chart.
I think you wanted to navigate to the cod, don't you, Warren?
That one's pretty. Well, hold on. Just to clarify, what's
Also,
it
the
do?
red depth sentences.
Nothing. It would basically just the very first time that you were trekking through the dangerous wilds. If you wanted to go underground instead, you could have, but it's not relevant to you now.
Okay, so you're telling me I'm free to get rid of this item without it fucking me later. Is what
Yes,
you're-
I am.
I'll just before we give it, I'll take a really good long look at it.
And memorize it with your incredible intelligence. Roll intelligence for me. What about the winter bloom locket? Is that okay?
Oh, please get rid of that.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
We held on to that, and it only caused us problems in the Feywild.
And then the oil of Taggart as well.
Yeah, we're
Seeing as
fine
we
with
can't
that.
hit anything with 13 fortitude, I think we're good.
All right. And he passes over to you this extremely alcoholic smelling potion as well.
Time to chug.
Giant strength is fighting strength.
I'll go ahead and pop that in the right spot. Cool, and that's it, and you're out of there.
Out of
Yes,
there.
we're out. We're done. We leave.
Now I need 3,000.
The sound of little tinkling bells from the outside greets you as you once again rejoin your very irate companion who is like having a conversation with Warren.
So,
What does that sound
so
like?
how is it you swing the axe? If it's twice your size, is it like a magic thing, or
I pick it up and I swing it.
yeah, but it's fucking. I mean, look at it.
You know what? I've changed my mind. You guys fucking spend hours in that shop. It's dark now.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Tone change.
Now, see,
Please get out
look,
of my way.
he and Warren are talking, and all of that progress I made in making him our friend is just going to be lost. He's talking to Warren now. We're screwed.
What's the favorite thing you've fought?
I love walking up and like hearing Warren awkwardly ask these things.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite.
Why?
Because having a favorite would mean you enjoy it.
Go ahead, Erie.
We're just gonna flutter up and
Here you go, Mr. Heartbinder. We bought you something.
I'll lob the little potion towards him.
Like with your telekinesis?
No, I'll just make it very small first.
Oh, okay.
Are you bribing me?
No, it's more of a thank you for putting up with us.
We
Oh,
understand
that is very
sort of
taxing.
debt.
Can we go?
Yes.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Warren, was it?
That'd be the
Maybe
one.
you should guard the back.
Yeah. Are you gonna stand back here?
Keep walking.
Yeah, you never know what's behind us, Warren. And Kaivis is going to run up front to stand right behind Melgar as he's walking. Hi.
Handle. Oh.
So, are you going
Yeah,
to the library too?
We get out of this place.
Yeah, we're going.
We are going west.
We're walking and talking. Melgar, I know you're new to our group, but while we walk, we usually talk.
We're not very good at that, Cavius.
No, I suppose we're not. But our intention is always to walk and talk.
And then you start talking, and we stand around while you wave your hands around emphatically, and we don't get anywhere.
I wouldn't say I'm the only culprit here, thank you very much. But, yeah, if the shoe fits. So we're trekking
What do you
west.
want to talk about?
Well, we had a very interesting piece of information from the Heartbinder in there. We heard that we had found the other Heartbinder in existence, and it happens to be you. And I don't know how true this is, but she seemed to imply that you might be more aligned with our intentions than she was.
I was a heartbinder. I'm on a different path now.
Oh. So is it like something you can just give up?
It's something you sacrifice.
That sounds painful.
Court's challenges aren't meant to be easy.
Oh my god, this is a moment that Warren has where he puts his hands up to his head and he thinks, oh my god, we're traveling with a Cord follower. Everything we run into will be worse by just him being around.
Funny you should mention that.
Here we go. Here it comes.
That training and religion paying off.
No, I'm chill. If you guys want to chat with Morgan or Melgar for a few more minutes, I'm in no rush.
For 4 minutes.
We had discussed we had discussed some of the challenges in our country and how we could learn from the people of the brave lands, and talking about opening up a dialogue, and also, you know, some of the shared challenges our people face from more conflicted or hostile entities or nations in the form of, well, the car. She just implied that that wasn't really the path that she was on. It was really more your area of expertise.
You know what I don't like about High Hum the most? They always seem to talk around what they want to say, assuming I know nothing. What do you want to ask?
I don't know. I just like to chat. The thing that I want the most, we're headed in the direction of, but it just seems that amongst your people, the Heartbinders know so much. So, honestly, what I'd like to ask is, one, I'd like to know more about the Forged and the knowledge that was stolen from the car, or was stolen from your people, or maybe not stolen, but it's a little more tricksy than that. And then two, I'd love to know more about your magic and how you guys work with, what they call down south the Foundling stones. And three, I heard Warren heard that there's a recruit of the Raven Queen right at the library we're going to. That sounds interesting as well. And the list kind of goes on, and I just didn't want to assault you all right away with what I specifically wanted to ask. I felt like that would be rude.
It's better to ask questions.
Okay, question one. Why aren't you a Heartbinder anymore?
Because I carry the axe.
Oh. Question two. Because you carry the axe, you are doomed. Is that correct?
I sacrifice that, yes.
Question three. Apparently, the nature of your doom is already known to you. What is the nature of your doom?
To commit an act that cannot be forgiven. One I'm already in the process of.
And spending 5 years in the Feywild, it is a struggle for Kyvius to do direct questions. So you see him in nearly physical pain as he says, "What are you going to do?"
Finish Cord's work.
Galadriel, this guy would go great with the Fey. I'm just saying.
He is skilled in being incredibly vague.
I love it when people give direct questions, get direct answers. It seems very much like respected amongst your people.
You shouldn't shackle yourself with deceit.
his seat.
I'm in the back over here. But I was wondering, what's Cord's mission you're finishing? The last thing he did was split the island in half.
You were correct.
Is it to split it the rest of the way?
You were correct.
Can one do that?
That's what wielding the axe means.
But those who wielded the axe before you didn't split the land in half, did they? Or did
Cord
they?
wield axe.
They
left.
failed
I thought
their
there was a-
trial.
Oh. So everyone who has wielded the axe since its material was left behind by Cord has failed in their trial.
From where I met you, it is likely you've already met one that's wielded it before.
The Peerless.
Who?
Whose name I can't remember.
The orc guy.
The Goliath.
Oh!
Sorry, Goliath.
What was his name? Damn it. I liked him too.
Brunor.
Brunor, right. Was it Bruno?
He was one.
But, okay, so he failed his trial, but he's not dead. Is doom not mean you have to die?
It would be tough to explain. It is something you'd need to see to understand.
Is that something you would allow?
Maybe.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Warren had a question. I can really monopolize the conversation. He has to,
I'm although I can't hear there's wind. Maybe doom is part of the hardship. You don't have to die if you bail.
He doesn't respond to that.
Okay. Is this task or duty, is this something that you have to do alone? Or is this something that, I don't know, someone could witness or maybe even help out with?
No one in the Brave Lands ever has to do anything. We choose to do.
Changing my question, is this something you're choosing to do alone or choosing to have no one witness or the opposite?
All know what I am undertaking, but it is a trial alone.
So the trial has yet to begin, and you're taking the last steps to know how
No,
it'll be.
it's already begun.
Ah,
It began before you even arrived.
probably for a long time.
You can be alone, but surrounded by people.
Lygar's like, same.
Beat me to it.
Still, it's been 4 minutes. We've done it.
That's true. I was just curious.
What's 4 minutes?
He's been sitting out in the cold for so long. I wanted to make sure that you guys had a chance to actually interact with Kaz before I fucking pressed you forward into the death realm.
He could have come shopping with us.
It's true.
No, he could have. He did not want to.
Hey, so I'm gonna ask a weird question here as you guys start to go. Wild, I know that you would normally going out into this kind of sort of terrain utilize your whatchamacallit, your
Portend
predict
weather.
portend weather. Thank you so much. Same thing with endure elements, which is a spell that Warren has exclusively. And my question is, do you cast these rituals before leaving the Bravelands?
Oh,
I feel like this is
jeez.
a trap question.
It's a very obvious trap question.
Yeah.
My understanding is, well, unless we came lower in elevation, my understanding was what we had experienced on our way through the mountains was like any residuum that was like pulled out of a pouch,
Owl
like
went.
that, yeah, got sucked up. So did we come down? Like I don't think he would have attempted it unless we came down in elevation.
He can use healing surges to do it instead.
Oh,
But you are
gotcha,
correct.
gotcha.
Any residuum in this area is going to get drained. Pulled in
Right.
the howl.
Let me read the thing real quick. 10 ritual precipitants. I wouldn't be getting this question unless I'd very recently been trained in religion and don't understand anything. That's what this pain is. Is there a knowledge check to know if this would go against what a cord follower would have? Or is it just obvious?
I don't think you would need to make a knowledge check for that. It's incredibly stupid for you to fucking go out into the western and the frozen terrain without every possible benefit. Cloaking yourself in magical protections while you have the opportunity to do so.
Wearing clothes. Pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I cast it on everyone but Melgar?
I guess that's how the answer would work. Yes, if that's what you want your decision to be.
Poor Milgar.
I start to do that, and I also ask Melgar. As I begin the spell, I tell him, we know some magics to protect us a bit from the cold and the temperature. Would you partake in them, or would that hamper your journey?
No.
No. You may cast.
Alright, good, I'm glad I asked. Okay, yeah, I'll cast.
Fantastic. That is 2 healing surges, I think?
Yeah, because I think I'm going to save Portend. Oh no, Portend Weather gives the endurance checks.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Endure Elements lasts for 24 hours.
Right. Yes. I'll mark off 2. I think I'm getting lower. What am I at? That brings me to 7.
Okay. As you begin to trek out into the wilds, moving western through the ice and snow, we are going to take a break. But when we come back here in 5 minutes, is going to mark the beginning of a skill challenge where the next 24 hours of your long, frigid journey west are going to be a live or die situation as your bodies begin to get slower and colder and hypothermia begins to set in as you face the dangers of the Braveland wilds. And I'll see you guys in 5 minutes.
Okie doke.
Oh boy, death. Woo! My favorite.
You've never failed a skill challenge. We're not going to start now.
I thought we failed one.
I think we found the Feywild one.
Yes.
Yeah, because then Bear Grylls died.
He went goodbye.
He was my favorite character.
Oh.
Obviously not, or else he'd still be alive because we would have tried harder.
Listen, I tried. The dice were not with me.
You could have put him in your pocket, maybe, if Eerie shrunk him.
I can't shrink people.
God damn it.
You couldn't even shrink a forge.
I shrunk Morgane's head.
Oh,
So that just means he's not people. I mean, who?
What's an avatar of the
boy.
Raven Queen doing out here? Excuse my life?
cold
They're,
and death.
they're
Yeah,
just
weird
chilling.
choice.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you? What is the Raven Queen's domains, Wild? Can you
Yeah,
tell
I
me?
know. I know what they are. I know one of them's fucking winter. Alright, the cold. But, like.
Listen,
And
she's only the Raven Queen's influence is only in the tower because Cord frickin' punted her there.
yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know why I would be worried about you guys being like, oh, they're probably not going to fucking spend an hour talking to the Hardbinder. That'll be a quick conversation in out.
Mhm.
She's like, I'm not going to answer any of your questions. But like, cool, we've got 10.
Yeah, well, we were like, cool, and then Kyvius and Saigar rolled a 30 and 25 diplomacy, and that was like,
Yeah,
I
I
guess we
know.
get to ask.
Every time like Kyvis engages with like someone from the Bravelands, I just assumed like that anime like diagonal cut screen
Yeah.
where like he asks a question and then both the eyes lock. The Braveland's like, just no.
Yeah, it's like one of the random NPCs is like, I have nothing to say to you, and Kaius fucking rolls a nat 20 for a total of 40 diplomacy. He's like, objection! And then Tiger shoots him and also shouts objection.
You find me charming, and you don't know why.
They call him Salt and Pepper because Kyvius will pepper him with comments and Saigar will salt in their wounds.
It's kind of fun to play someone who's brand new to the gods and was just like, would Cord be cool? Would Cord want me to let this person like probably die? Is that what would he want? Should I do that? That's bad, right? But is it? It's so stupid. Warren has no idea what he's doing. He went to remedial Bible study.
Hey guys, here's a quick preview of maps we'll never use. Do you challenge me to Mocky Ball?
Can we go there? Why didn't we meet the Maki Ball champion?
Man.
7 surges.
That's how many I have.
Down from
How many
12.
do
for me.
I have right now?
18.
Not
Probably
a
a lot.
lot.
Oh right, you had to heal from. You had to use 3.
Yeah, I think I had to use a few. Let's see. I have 8 surges right now.
I'm at 5.
I don't have that much con on this character.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of barbarian. Here we go. .jpg.
Well, I thought like, Galad needs some time to heal. Let his support wings fly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you've got the perfect target for all your stuff now.
Hopefully, next combat, I don't have to use all my heals on myself.
Got the perfect target.
Nah.
I'm assuming the elixir is a one-time use.
It is, yes.
Yes.
Just sip it. It's little sips.
5 strength.
Make it last.
He will take 1 bugbear sip.
And the whole thing is gone.
Those gloves are nuts, though, by the way.
Yeah, agreed. I
It's
wonder.
Which one,
odds
my new
to
gloves?
damage.
Yeah, I wonder how long it would take you to learn how to speak giant.
If I roll above a 35 on my Arcana check and comprehend languages, I can then speak giant. But at the moment, I'm only plus 15 in Arcana, so that would take
Gotta
a
get
nat
that
20.
20.
Yeah.
It's useless on Kyvius, but that top line is one of the most broken things in 4E.
Yep.
For any like melee class.
Oh yeah.
Really? Why? How does that work?
It upgrades your weapon dice. So like a
holding a bigger
1d12 goes
weapon?
to 2d6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
Oh,
neat.
I
So wait, are these better utilized by someone else then?
Well, if
There's
someone
no
had
one
like a
else.
fire sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do fire damage to get the damage bonus.
And I think you
Or-
also have to be already resistant to fire to get
Yeah,
the
that's
damage
what you
bonus.
have to do. Is to already
Yeah.
be resistant to fire.
Yeah, see, like it is very much. It's only for you, Kyvius, because you're the only one with natural resist 5. That'd be like a heavy combo item where you'd have to have another resist 5 already on it.
The really nutty one is the Storm Cleric's Girdle. I was like, oh man, I should make an item for the Brave Lands just in case somebody like actually worships Kord in this campaign to like put some real fucking nonsense shit up in the Brave Lands for them. And then of course it wasn't relevant. So I'm like, oh, I'll just put it in the store to just bait them so they can be like, oh my god, that's so good. I'm gonna change religion for it.
You think? I don't want to go to Cord school. We typed this already in the chat, but I love that we're traveling with Raven Queen, Cord, and Avandra. What
Coralon.
choices to make things worse? Right, Coralon. Okay, that's one vote to help. The other three
And
are
like
more often
Kyvius
than
is like, let's face it, he's like the Lady of Winter Darkness from where he got his eye from. That's sort of his god, right? It's not a good relationship, but it's his god.
Well, the iris is his now, so is he his own god?
In his mind, yeah.
Back to the Future.
Wow.
I think Saigar is the only not divinity touched person so far.
That's perfect.
Taylor's gonna come down from the heavens and brighten him up.
Yeah, I'm sure. that will happen.
Ion's my deity member.
Oh my
Oh.
god. Holy fuck.
Dumb.
Oh, good.
That's pretty good.
We didn't actually get this, did we?
You
Just
did
a casual
No.
plus 4.
Casual +5. Yeah. Fucking +5
Cash
fortitude
should've
may
come
as well
shopping.
just be like if you're already a character who's like, I'm gonna be a big fucking burly person, and if you're already having fucking like a high fortitude save, +5 basically means you are immune to fortitude saves. Or fortitude defense.
Yeah, that's pretty nutso.
Pretty dumb.
Pretty nuts to butts.
That's alright, maybe Saigar will free old man next week and you guys will have another stash of loops.
Who knows?
Oh yeah.
One thing I didn't clarify because like I didn't want to talk during this. Old man, it was that's the same old man we knew, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a girl. Okay, good.
Turns out he's a shitbag.
Shay's adopted dad. Secretly, yeah, he was the one who was supplying like fucking Warforged technology to the Ka and teaching you how to fucking build
profiteering.
drilling machines and built the train that you guys were kidnapped when you were kids, like helped construct that. And yeah, war profiteering, making sure that the Ka was going to overthrow Highhelm. He was one of the
But he
people that was working on the
said
inside.
he's sorry.
Yeah. Well, he is. Sorry he got caught.
Yeah.
Everybody back.
Yes, I think.
Yes.
I'm not sure about Ash.
Quick question for people with who fill up power cards. In the damage bonus column or in the damage bonus little entry, can you put math or like could I put Just so in my head I see it and I know like which of my bonuses are, and I'm not.
No.
No.
Like,
Okay.
but you could do it in like the. Wait, you might be able to. I've
Well,
never tried it.
Let's try
It
it.
might be an. Yeah.
Let's
Like,
see.
what do you need to put there?
So I already have. So the way that Steel and I have actually here, I can just test it right now. Let's see. Boom. Ready? Here we go. Kyvius.
Okay, that looks fine.
That worked. Great.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it
Yeah.
added the 5.
Love it. It had the 5 at the end. Great. That just means that just helps me kind of track like why is this bonus more?
Yeah, that's fair.
Why don't you just make a custom attribute and then reference it in all your attack powers?
Oh my god. Don't listen to him.
Or you can just put 5 in the bonus damage box.
That's
I
that's
already-
the coward's way.
No, but I already have a number in the bonus damage box.
That's true.
So what I have is I'm gonna have 2 numbers there. And
Then
that way I know one
put
of
it
them
under
is...
your weapon. You can put it in like the feet damage bonus, misk damage
No, but it
bonus,
only
and it'll
applies
automatically
to it
pull
only
from that.
applies to powers that are fire damage.
Then
So-
make 2 weapons.
He's got. He's,
Oh
So,
my
hang on.
god.
Hang on for a split second. What he's saying actually is the best way to do it is if you want to go ahead and in your weapon slot where it says Kyvius' Iris, just punch the 7 into your class damage bonus whenever you're using the Iris. And then just put the 5 in the damage bonus for any of the fire-based powers.
Oh.
So I'll put 100 there for using the slot.
And that will just apply. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. I will do that. So
Okay.
we'll get the 7 there. Then I only have to update it once instead of updating every power
That's true.
when we hit level 20.
Is Ash back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Fantastic. That's the wrong one. The trek across the Brave Lands is something that takes you quite some time. And you do, in fact, have a +5 bonus to any endurance checks because of Warren, and you are no longer, like, susceptible to the worst conditions it has to offer. But pretty soon you begin to feel like your meager preparations for this were absolutely insufficient. The cold stalks you like death. Your blood begins to freeze inside your veins. You can no longer feel your face, just wrapping up however you possibly can. Erie's got it the worst. Despite his luminescent golden wings now, you can just feel that the heat leaving your body so quickly, Erie, makes it incredibly difficult for you to just even keep up with your fellows.
What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull out my little luminous candle secret and just hug that close to me and just whisper little secrets into that the whole way and try and keep it kindled.
Oh, I love that. Can you give an example of one of the secrets you whispered to it?
Oh, Melgar keeps people's souls here, but he's doomed.
It flickers excitedly and consumes the secret like it was fuel. And after about 2 to 3 hours of Kyvius and Melgar just chatting away incessantly, you do eventually see the ice waterfall that she had mentioned. And this is the first of the skill challenges because there are going to be 8 successes necessary before you guys make
That's a lot.
4 failures.
Okay. Okay.
And the ice waterfall, which is trapped basically between perfectly towards two very sheer cliffs, just scales upwards about 130 feet or so. And you stand at the base of it just looking straight up, realizing that 8 kilometers of rope that you had joked about sure would have come in handy here.
Wait, we
Wants
didn't buy
to-
rope?
You've got a little bit. Who takes the reins for this very first challenge as you sort of just are desperately trying to figure out how you are going to scale this sheer frigid obstacle?
I think I'd probably want to use
sorry?
my dungeoneering skill to
Hell yeah!
find a way to scale the wall.
Oh,
Sorry.
God, are you okay?
I almost knocked over my desk with my ass.
Okay, well,
Dangerously thick.
Wild's athletics is not doing so great.
Yeah. He stopped bicycling to work for 1 whole week, and now he's a fatso.
Sorry, Kyvius, were you going to suggest something as well?
No. No, if you take this one.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah, dungeoneering is a great one. Basically just like the very, very classical way that you've always approached problems, I assume. hammer, pitons, rope that you've had with you, everything that you've brought, because you actually do come prepared, I imagine, yeah?
Yep. I
Okay.
do have rope on me, and I can conjure rope if I need to as well.
This is a DC 19 dungeoneering check.
Hey.
Fantastic. Saigar, you do certainly begin just the process of like guiding the group upwards, and it's not going to be an easy trek. Who's basically following you up, Saigar?
I would imagine Melgar right after me, and then Eerie, Kyvius, Galadriel, and Warren kind of lumbering at the very bottom.
Okay, fantastic.
It's gonna be rough for me.
You've always worn fingerless gloves, Saigar, and again, it's just every single time it's meticulous, I imagine, as you're hammering these batons into the frozen ice. Just like every 5-10 feet is a labor, and you probably spend close to an hour just ascending this height in the most low-tech, non-magical way possible. And that's probably for the best.
Just make sure everyone makes it. Just in case anybody slips, I'll just hang about middle of the pack and just kind of float my way up, just keeping an eye on everybody. And if somebody slips off the rope, I'll just dust them back on.
That is fantastic. I love that a lot. And as you get about halfway up or so, Saigar, you can very, very clearly see that frozen inside the ice beyond the waterfall appears to be this spined serpentine shape. It is also colossal and frozen solid. And those of you who know anything about the far north here recognize this immediately to be a Ramaraz, one of the sort of frozen serpents that exist in these areas. The most important, noteworthy thing is that you can see that it is mostly dead. It's basically down to the bones, but it is covered all over with tiny little cannibal predator bug-like creatures. And as you're about halfway up, a good like 50 or 60 feet off the ground, as they all sort of turn and see you, these four-legged little weird predators, they hop over to you and just begin to start tapping rapidly on the ice, breaking the way through. And Saigar, you see that you're very carefully, very meticulously put pitons begin to like slide out of the actual ice itself as cracks begin to form, and these bloodthirsty parasites begin to try to break through towards you. Ramirez looks like that if you're curious.
Look at him. He's
Wow.
a nightmare.
Lots of really small versions of that begin to start breaking through the ice. No fire breathing, but
Ugh.
same idea.
I think we've got to pick up the pace here a little bit.
Yeah. Does anybody do anything about that?
Yeah. Well, they're small guys like that, right?
Yeah.
I would like to. So I've been messing around in the Feywild. You guys have seen me do this before, where like I do like shadow clone Kyvius and or send like a fleet of bats that screech in the enemy's ear. I'd like to like bring in some like illusory predators, like larger bats or something that like swoop in to like distract them or scare them or make them think they're about to get eaten by something bigger than them.
I love that. Arcana check, please. Or bluff check would be even better. I'd love a bluff check.
Me too.
Yeah. And we'll call that a DC 19 as well.
Christ.
I think you only get that on a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best part about the fact that you can cast illusion magic like this, Kyvius, is that as your eye gleams with flaming light, the phantasmal creatures that you summon are inside the ice, the interior with them, and it sends these creatures into an absolute panic, leaping for safety, and just stumbling down to the frozen depths below.
Oh, good.
It is also at this moment that one of the PCs, one of you, does in fact go into freefall, and the rope that is holding you at this moment, as one of them leaps down and moves out of the way, does just cause one of you to descend. Eerie, can you go ahead and just give me your Arcana check, because you were prepared for it? And if you fail, which I'm sure you will not do, because it's going to only be a DC 20, flat 20, I'm going to have somebody roll to see who the person is that falls.
Here we go.
.jpeg.
10% chance. Oh, there we go.
Oh my god.
No!
Oh, of course.
Can I have I guess Saigar and Melgar and Warren and Kyvius and Glad to all just roll your strength or your dexterity checks for me, and the lowest roll is the person who is falling.
All right. Let me crack
Wow,
my
it's gonna be
knuckles.
me.
Well, sorry, Warren.
Yeah, I
Strength
believe in you,
check,
Warren.
God,
You said,
Warren.
Strength or dex?
What
I'm a
the
man.
Whoa!
Oh!
What the fuck, Warren?
Saigar.
Wow.
It's actually Saigar is the lowest dexterity check, which is mind-boggling. And as you do begin to fall, Saigar, like I imagine, like Melgar like reaches out, grabs your arm or something, and prevents you from just like collapsing. A couple people, I'm sure, reach out and grab you at the same time. But it is still enough that you slam hard against the frozen ice. Eerie not quick enough to prepare for the eventuality, and you can just feel like your whole body just like shudder and shake as for a brief moment, just your vision blurs. And I need you to take 17 points of cold damage, Saigar.
Christ.
And you can either lose 2 healing surges from just the exertion this is causing upon you, or the next person's check is going to be harder.
I will take 2 healing surges.
Okay?
Right. All right.
That
All
is-
right.
It is your first failure of 4. As you continue to ascend, and you get very near the very top of the actual ice waterfall now, you can see that that's not the only thing that is trapped inside the ice itself. It appears to be like a large galleon or like a sailing ship of some type. It's almost completely intact. The ropes and the rigging are still holding a number of skeletal crewmen. Their corpses are just perfectly preserved where they are caught in whatever onslaught of freezing cold that made this waterfall happen, so quickly. And as they see you, just like before, undead begin to shuffle towards of the edge of the ship. These ones mindless, unaffected by any kind of illusionary magic. But that's so much less of a problem by the fact that as they have all begun to move towards the front of the ship, the entire galleon within the ice prepares to capsize, and you can see that the spiderweb cracks of ice appear just across the entire surface. Who responds?
I want to try to use in a creative way here, my guarded land ability
Oh
to try to slow the cracking the same way it would difficult terrain to slow the opponents. But because it's of ice, it sort of reinforces that ice crystalline structure in it for the zone it covers, to try to reinforce it enough for us to navigate past it.
Man, that's the best fucking idea, and I love that. It is a warfare check to use a power like that in a way that it's not intended for, but because it's an easy DC for you, it's DC 13.
Whew.
I'd love a description of that, Melgar.
So as he sees the ship sort of bowing and tipping, he's going to sort of grip one hand, and his fingers are gonna dig into the ice and make grips for them. Just the sheer force of his hand into the ice, allowing him to hold himself up by one hand, and using his other hand to quickly grab the axe and bury it into the waterfall itself. And then from that point, you see just a icy creep come out in almost a cone from the staff and go up along the bottom of the boat itself. And the cracks that were forming sort of get sealed, and it looks like it will hold, but maybe not forever.
Man, that's how you guys need to do a skill challenge. That is beautiful.
Yeah, gotta admit.
When you finally do pull yourselves onto the surface, Saigar looking a little worse for the wear than the others of you, sort of roll back onto the frozen, icy surface of this vast lake, and in the far, far distance, you can see the shape of just this blizzard eternally churning far to the west. Can you walk like this for another 2, 3, 4 hours as night begins to fall completely now? And after some time has passed, you find yourselves in kind of a mountainous, just a valley, I guess, for lack of a better word. And there are large, ominous figures carved all out of stone and they just jut from a curve in the side of the mound, like the teeth of a jawbone. And you can see that there are ancient dwarven runes that decorate the base of the statues, no doubt with directions that might aid you on the path ahead. But all of these rich sagas they detail in the dwarven tongue have all been partially obscured by much more recent giant graffiti. Do any among you have the ability to sort of utilize these ancient waymarkers for directions?
I can cast.
Uh,
Oh, sorry.
Could I make a history check to try and determine if I can more or less figure out what they mean and how they mean for us to get where we're going?
I would like that, but it would be fairly difficult to do so.
Okay.
You'd be filling in basically like every second or third word, and I imagine that you don't actually speak Dwarven either.
No, I do
I
not
could
speak Dwarven.
assist.
Are there any animals around,
I
like
could
local fauna?
assist by casting comprehend languages on him.
There
Ooh,
could
that's
be
a good
animals around.
No, I like Kyvius is better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in this particular case, with Kyvius aiding you, no roll necessary, because comprehend languages is something that you could just do by spending a healing surge. I would
Healing surge to
certainly-
skip one of these checks? Hell yes.
to allow Eerie to make it at a regular difficulty level.
Oh,
It's still going to be
Nice.
very obscured with like the giant graffiti.
fair.
What do giants tag?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
Ugh life. But it's up to you if you want to go with that plan. These are precious healing surges.
That takes me from 9 to 8.
Oh, you've got plenty.
That's a lot.
So that's the plan then?
Yeah, here, if you want to do that, again, it would be a DC 19 check.
Can I fail a 5% chance?
I believe in you.
You can, but will you?
No.
Closer than is super comfy, though.
Yeah, right?
It's one of those
Yuri.
days.
You're easily able to determine what the runes actually said and provide you safe passage to the mountains. And instead of wandering lost out here for hours as the cold winds buffet your body further, basically the quickest way through, and in fact begin to start trekking through a set of ancient caves that have been long carved here for travelers, getting you kind of out of the wind and the rain.
Nice.
However, before you do, I don't know who the last person in was. I think we said Warren. You catch sight just ever so briefly of once again just the peal of thunder and then the flash of lightning as the sky parts, and you can see high above you another one of those comets streaking through the night sky, another lost soul from the brave lands who died out here, and it begins to circle its path, trying to be drawn towards the brave lands, but insufficiently not able to find the city of Volendusk. The person within is very clearly lost in a constant panic, and for the very first time you really see this comet not just being like just a big chunk of residium falling from the heavens, but also very clearly like a person who, now that they are free from the howl, feels like it has some kind of control over the movement, able to influence their travel somewhat. Is there anything that anybody does? It would of course probably take your time to waste guiding this, and no doubt they would find it eventually, but it seems cruel to simply leave it.
If we want to help, could I try and emulate the chanting and motions that they used in the village when we saw this happening last time?
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. What kind of check do you think that would be?
Biased says history.
Definitely
religion.
Definitely not history. Religion's a fantastic one.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Let's
I'll
go
even
with
put
that.
that as a goddamn easy check for you. We'll call that a DC
Yeah.
15.
You can
Alright.
see as I think Warren sort of also participates, bringing down the feather from his head and muttering under his breath that fate take it away so it can be a book on the shelf long enough to get its chance at death.
If
And
there's
with the... oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if there's one thing that you're good at, Galadriel, it is making sure that you are the center of attention, and ensuring that you are able to conduct and guide this chaotic shape towards where it needs to go.
Well, and also like how much respect they showed Galad in the village. I felt like this was some way that he could repay them back a little bit.
Even though you've never been colder in your life, face nearly frozen, lips turning a little bit blue just from the sheer sleet of ice and snow that has buffeted you, there is still a level of majesty that you possess as you kind of get up on a nearby snowdrift. Time Lost Cape just blowing majestically in the frozen winds, and baton up and song on your lips, and directed to where it needs to go.
Thank you, Kahailani. That's very kind of you.
I just bow and shiver.
As you continue to move through the actual cave itself, you feel like things are becoming more difficult now on this leg of the journey, as you have trekked further and further into the frozen wastes. And while you struggle to get through this cave, you can hear the sound of the levels above you beginning to quake and shake. And you can look up and through a sheer ice floor, seeing the levels above. You can see that there are a pair of large giants, clad in almost nothing except for like fur and loincloths, that are either in some kind of like brutal struggle or wrestling match or whatever, and they are throwing each other against like the walls of this cave. And with each powerful blow, even though they are unaware of the danger that they pose to each other, with the floor beginning to quake and shake above you, you all have this immediate like realization of horror that the entire cavern is going to be brought down upon you as these two beings just battle it out above your heads.
How dramatically is them throwing each other shaking everything? Like a lot?
A lot.
This is a Warren plan. Could Warren use warfare and his understanding of the duel that they're having to use one of their movements and then breaking apart the cave in a way that favors us to get out of it? To use the momentum to leave?
Oh, like you start, like you predict how the fight's gonna go and like keep the group
Yes.
safe as a result. Okay, I love that. Yeah, can you go ahead and give me a warfare check then? As mentioned, the difficulty is getting a little bit higher here. And we are gonna call this, where is it? My apologies, a DC 24. DC 24.
Oh, that one's pretty rough. We'll give it a try.
Nice.
All right.
Luckily, they don't see you and are not inspired by this random elf, like watching their bout of brutality, and like take it to the next extreme level. But yeah, Warren, of course, easily able to guide the party through.
Whew, don't get many warfare checks in these. Not as cool as Melgar's.
Who among you is not wearing metal?
I'm not.
I don't think that I'm wearing any metal.
I also do not think I am.
I don't think so.
Made your
Like,
rings
unless
count?
the holy symbol counts.
Like, I got an axe.
Nah, it was just Warren, I think.
I got my shield, my sword, my
Uh-huh.
half plate.
Dun,
Yep.
dun, dun, dun.
My halo?
Warren, as you continue onwards, you feel like you are getting more and more sluggish and slow, and you begin to start falling behind a little bit. Every step is taking so much more strength than you've got, and it's not too long before you realize that if you stop moving, stop fighting against it for a split second, you feel yourself being pulled down. And even though you're not much of a geomancy kind of guy in general, you realize what's actually happening here is that there is magnetized ore inside this cavern that is being attracted to all of your metal possessions. And as soon as you realize this, there's a tonk, and Warren, you are pulled and slammed face first down into the snow, just completely unable to move. And those of you who sort of realize that Warren is now basically being pulled down towards this can see like just little slivers of this green ore underneath where he's at, and then looking out to towards the further bit of the cavern, just almost green rivers of this ore weaving through it.
Help!
Okay.
So is he?
Oh.
I'm confused.
Well, are you lying down?
Wild?
Is it your ass again?
Yes.
I'm being
Whenever you
quick-
call for help, like snow just blows into your face.
Is he
Oh.
caught by something? What is he caught by?
Magnets.
He's
Magnets.
magnets. Like really
How do
intense
they
magnetic
work?
field.
I think Melgar's gut reaction is to like just try to walk over to Warren, try to pick him up by like the scruff of his shirt, and just like pull him up.
I dig that. Is it just a straight athletics check for you?
Yeah.
Oh my god, can you hear the fucking noise outside?
Can I assist him? Okay, never mind.
Oh, he doesn't need it.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a hard check. That's a DC 28. But you know, Melgar, he's a strong lad. And in a way that reminds you of like someone or something that's happened before in the past. Just this bugbear hoists you up, like rips you off free from the magnetized ore, and I imagine just half drags you through the rest of the tunnel.
Flecks of skin from my dying arm like fall off.
Oh, yeah.
There's, as you trek a little bit further, I need everybody to go ahead and make a Constitution check for me, please.
Like the skill or an endurance?
A skill. And again, whoever rolls lowest will find out.
Ah, okay.
Uh-oh.
Rolling against type again.
Oh.
Saigar, you still taking the lead and sort of like keeping a watchful eye out. You realize that as you have entered this sort of final step of the cave itself, there is a pool here of what looks like almost living residium mold or a sludge of some type. It's a shallow, like 1 foot deep pool of this strange rainbow liquid, almost something that's been like given sentient life as by all of the residium that's been pouring into it for so long. And you can see that it begins to flow around and grasp at you, and as you step into it, immediately it begins to flow up your leg to like pull you down into it. Not a problem. And you sort of guide the group through and then back out into the cave itself. And it is at this point that you are, because of course you're the unlucky person, have a enormous chunk of ice from the hailstorm that has started clock you hard right in the side of the head and knocks you backwards right full on into the sludge, which begins to flow over your body almost immediately. Couple things. Because you fail, you just immediately take another 12 points of cold damage.
Okay.
And you can either sort of basically fight back against this freezing residium sludge, this sentient mold, or increase the DC of the next check by +5, which you know.
Oh, this one's only 1 healing surge.
I'll lose a healing surge, but is this considered a grab?
It's really up to you if you would like to get yourself out of this, or if an ally would like to help you.
I think I'm going to use my armor. I basically tear away at my armor, and I leave a silhouette of that armor inside the residium, and I essentially escape away from the residium.
So I love that, and I love the idea of you just like immediately like getting out of your fucking clothing like you're a cobra shedding his skin just extremely rapidly. I'd call it an acrobatics check.
That feels right.
It is fairly difficult, as mentioned. We are looking at another DC 24.
Okay, 1 sec.
I forgot the armor could do that.
Which I love. I love the fact they can do that. Hell yeah. You don't even lose the armor. You managed to fucking get that free at the last possible second, and you... Yeah, no kidding. That is 8-1.
8-1. Holy
8-1.
You're welcome.
Well, 8-2 because there was a crit fail, and I think that counts for 2 losses.
Oh, maybe.
Again, you're welcome.
I that.
Fantastic. Yeah, you pull yourself free immediately, Tiger. I love the fact that you are no longer relying on other people either. It is while Warren is like, "Oh, help! Somebody help me! Somebody help!" Tiger immediately just springs into action and takes care of business.
Dad, help! Angry rocks.
But as you all now look out towards the fact that this hailstorm is dangerous enough that it's baseball size just chunks of frigid ice moving at terminal velocity, you realize that it's simply not going to be safe to go out there. and looking behind you as well towards this residium sludge slowly creeping towards you, you also realize it's not going to be safe in here either. You're going to need to find some shelter, but you're trapped between a couple of rocks and a hard place right now. What do you guys do?
Is there any animals out here?
If it works for your skill check, absolutely there are.
Because I would like to ask one if there was some cover nearby, knowing that they would know the local terrain better than us.
Wait,
Wrong
he
song.
gets to talk with animals?
Yeah. Can you describe that for me? Let's let's say it's God, what's a good northern animal?
Snow leopard?
Arctic fox. A seal.
Walrus?
A singer.
An ice slug.
More slugs.
These are all very good suggestions.
A saber-toothed tiger.
A penguin?
A turtle.
I like penguin.
An ageless.
Ageless penguin.
An enormous dire grizzly. Its brown fur broken occasionally by the jutting of almost bone stone that produced from its body at various intervals, turns its shaggy head towards you as you, again, I imagine, begin to growl and sort of bear tongue.
Yeah, like he's gonna catch his attention, and then he has to roll to figure out how many questions he's allowed to ask.
That's very true. Although I think is 1 the minimum?
1 is the minimum I can get.
Okay. Are you only what would your question be?
The safest way to travel these lands.
Give me a diplomacy
That's it.
check.
Okay. Oh, I'm good at those too.
I believe in your.
Oh, and a nature check as well. My apologies.
Oh, it was a joke.
You're gonna have to kill the bear.
Turns out he doesn't actually speak animal.
The dire bear tells you of a cave not too far from here that it uses to take shelter in the cold sometimes, and I imagine like it gives you fairly vague directions, and you basically appreciate it, and then guide the party onwards to this cave through the hailstorm, which is absolutely brutal. And although you guys do finally get shelter in this tiny little mountain retreat and just watch the storm go by, it is bad enough, Melgar, that you are just pelted and brutalized by the brunt of the storm.
Big ouch.
And using the healing searches here.
Okay.
Or losing
As-
the healing search.
And as you all kind of hunker down, and I imagine Kyvius makes fire, just trying to keep some kind of heat going, you can hear the sounds of Wendigo howling in the distance. And then about 10 minutes later, howling again, getting closer and closer. And you realize collectively that somehow they have got the scent of one of the members of your party.
Who's the stinky
Is
one?
that the skill challenge? Because
That's
man,
the skill
do I-
challenge.
Cool. All right. Magic circle.
Is that
Oh.
that's what you do?
Yeah, we've got time. Wendigos move very slowly. They're quietly following our trail. I would like to draw a protective circle around the party so that we can take shelter and recover ourselves in this fire until they get bored.
I'm sorry, what Wendigos?
The ghost ones that are coming.
I'm sorry, ghost Wendigos?
Yes, Thunder wasn't here for this session.
Yeah, the ghost Wendigos. You never saw them? Should have seen them on the way here.
They probably couldn't keep up with him.
He was running very fast when he joined us, so he probably zipped right by them.
I saw no such thing on the way here, so... And I just kind of look at Warren, look at Kyvius, and just shake my head and stop talking.
You're right. The rest of us probably just imagined it. Silly us.
The real question is, does Warren know what type of creature a Wendigo is?
That's what I was going to say.
Ooh, good question.
So it does cost 100 gold pieces of Residium, or you can spend a healing surge, which you have to do.
Right. Yeah,
And-
no, I'll do that for a small
Okay.
circle.
And Warren, of course, in describing this ritual circle on the ground, basically assume that they're going to find you and also keep them out. What type of creature do you choose?
Well, there's only a few options. Is there a check to know what kind of creature they are? Or is that just going to make the DC harder if I don't guess it right?
Religion.
Cool. Can I roll that as part of the challenge, or would you rather me try and pull it out?
If you would like to have religion be the check, I would certainly allow that as a sort of a little free one for sure. We'll just call that a DC 18.
Okay, yeah. I'll do that, as I think they're probably too low level to get through whatever Arcana check I make, if I know what they are. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
They are elemental and immortal.
Mortal was one of the ones I was going to pick.
I was thinking abhorrent.
They're not aberrant, surprisingly enough.
I thought they were shadow.
Yeah, I also really like this because it plays to the comedy, because the comfort to Saigar is a bubble, which is essentially a plane of glass. So whenever the ghosts come up to us, I'm like, no, Saigar, don't worry, they can't get in there, as they fucking hiss at the glass they can't get through.
It's like the 13 Ghost House.
Yeah, it's horrible. They create
I leave you-
atmosphere.
I leave you guys alone for one fucking day, and this is the bullshit you pull us into as usual.
Makes the fire warmer and brings us closer together. They'll get bored.
Just don't roll out the circle in your sleep.
Sick. Sagar gets to see the sprite.
Yeah, this is how you guys spend the next little while. This actually solves the second skill challenge as well, because as you guys spend the next couple of hours with them, just constantly. Can you guys hear me still? Am I coming through okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it.
Oh my god, I heard like a fucking click and I got all paranoid. As they circle around and snap at the fucking magic circle, waiting for it to go down, it is very easily proven that Wild's like, no, I'm way more stubborn than you are.
This has a duration of infinite.
Yeah.
Which one of us dies first?
And with the with sort of the morning finally coming, they do leave the cave, and the hailstorm begins to come to an end as well. And there's actually just only one last quick little skill challenge left, which is as you finally reach where you're pretty sure the enormous I'm sorry, there's two left, my apologies. As you reach where you're thinking the enormous library was supposed to be, you just hit a dead end. And it takes you a little while to try to figure out like why this seems like it is happening, as you try to sort of figure out how to get through the sheer cliffs that are where you're pretty sure you saw the library at. And you try to figure out, is there a secret passage here? Are the mountains moving? What the fuck is going on? Who takes the lead?
Can I use my lens to see if there's some illusionary thing in front of us? And a perception check along with that?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a good perception. I have a hard time ever figuring out how that skill goes in these challenges. That's pretty good.
Nice.
I call that a yeah.
Sagar killing it.
Saigar, your lens still in your possession. Still something you haven't like sort of attached to your personage. You raised your eye, thinking how useful this has been, and you can see clearly that hidden behind a veil of ice, the sun striking it at just the right angle did manage to sort of create the illusion of just a sheer cliff where there, of course, is nothing, and you guide the party through sort of this refracted light secret mirror passageway to where finally you guys do see off in the distance And standing in front of the actual you said that, Ash, but I wanted it to be something that you tell the party and have it be an on-screen thing, so it's not yet. I want this to be a decision that you make instead of just be a backstory thing when you're not here. I'd love for that to actually occur. As you get into the actual blizzard itself, you can tell that it is just absolutely frigid and turbulent, and there is an enormous skeletal raven that soars through the darkness of this blizzard. It never lingers long to like communicate with you or anything, but in the distance you can very clearly see in the heart of this blizzard there is in fact some kind of vague outline of a structure. But the cold here is unlike anything that you have ever experienced. It is easily like minus 100. Even getting close to it is so absolutely brutal that you know that you would freeze in your steps trying to make it through the blizzard. And here you are stuck unless one person can basically guide you somehow through, probably having to utilize some kind of arcane power against this immortal storm.
Oh, Alyssa, do you have an idea? Were you gonna say something?
I had an idea that was sort of tied in with one of my new powers. But if you had an idea too.
Well, I've already done like 2 checks on this.
Okay. Yeah, then one of my new powers is tied to a hero point. Would I have to spend that for this check?
I would say the answer is yes, but I imagine that people are probably going to Heroes Feast at some point in time pretty quick anyway, so it's unlikely to matter.
Okay, then yeah. Whenever you spend an action point, you can choose to distort time out to 5 squares until the end of your next turn. While in this field, allies gain a +4 bonus to all defenses and do not provoke opportunity attacks. So the way I was thinking of that, like, there's like a bubble of time where the snow just like freezes once it gets to the bubble, and
Oh
hopefully,
my god.
yeah, that it just kind of guards us on our way.
That's my favorite image. You know that this blizzard has not always been here, and Galadriel taking a couple of uncertain steps out into the blizzard itself, basically just utilizing your magic, your complete mastery over the moment a plan comes together. You find yourself in just this sphere of stillness and usher the party in. I think that's just going to be a straight Arcana or Warfare check, whichever you would prefer, but it is very difficult. We're going to call this as well a DC 24.
Okay.
God. And as we basically wrap up today's game session, because we've gone on a little late because of that slow start, I would love for you to describe just the Galadriel leading the party through this eternal nightmare.
I think the bubble kind of looks like constantly shifting, so I think Galad would be like waving the baton as he's just marching forward. And the power name is actually called Minuet in Doubled Time, so I think that kind of fits nicely. And just like the snow would be blowing at us, and then once it hits the bubble, it just stops, and we just kind of move through it.
Incredible. Finally, it is not long before you have broken through the actual blizzard itself, and with this enormous skeletal raven still circling overhead, you watch as it lands at the apex of the building, which is so much unlike what you expected perhaps a magical ancient library to look like. It looks like wreckage. In fact, for a very brief moment, you have the very strong like recollection of the idea of High Helm being transposed here and just slammed here. It looks like it's half in and half out of just this an enormous mountain of ice. And although it is staggering in scope, it reminds you of just like a piece of a city or like an ancient lighthouse out here in the middle of nowhere. And I wish that I could tell you that it looks desolate and abandoned, but it does not, because as your eyes go first of all to the raven that is now sitting at the apex of this building, beckoning you onwards. You can also see the shape of a large orb-shaped creature.
Mm-hmm.
It looks old, very, very old, with one central drooping eye, tired, with 6 or 7 long eye stalks that peer around from all directions. And it exits the sort of the front broken, sundered gates of this ancient library, and treks out into the frozen wastes for a ways until it sees what it's looking for, and utilizing just one of its single eyes with absolutely no effort, you watch as the ice breaks and shatters and just collapses into the water nearby, as another one of those gleaming crystalline foundling stones, every color of the rainbow, is just lifted telekinetically in the air, light as a feather, and the Orbis creature turns silently and with perfect control over its body and just floats back towards the inside of the library itself, the stone being dragged through the air effortlessly again behind it.
Does this stone look bound like the other ones we've seen, or is this just like an exposed stone?
It appears to be a stone that has fallen here, that the beholder, my apology, is simply bringing into the library with it, but it's not bound. It's just looks like it's collecting shells almost.
Huh.
Just came down, hot off the sky. Had to read Eerie's sentence 3 times.
That's where we're going to end today's game session. Does anybody say anything before we wrap?
Fuck!
Yeah.
Yeah. In unison, I imagine.
Fuck. That pretty much
Are we going?
describes it.
Are we going?
Yeah, Melgar, no time to waste, takes a couple of just like quick hop, skip jumps down the side of the mountain, sliding down towards the entranceway. And the last thing that I'm going to say before we call it actually is you watch as his big bugbear footsteps actually completely obliterate the much smaller footstep that it passes over there for a split second, where in the snow in front of you, moving also with driven purpose, appears to be a set of flat, no real shape to the soles, deep, heavy robotic footsteps.
Dun
He's
dun
here.
dun.
You must have got here
young
recently
Tavone.
then.
He
What took
lived
him so
for
long?
9 months.
He didn't have a time mage with him to get him through that god awful snowstorm. I was just imagining. Do you remember that scene in Avatar where they're traveling in the bubble under the ocean and Katara's
Oh, yeah.
Also-
that was me imagining us walking through the snowstorm. Is that the
See, I was
snowstorm is like?
imagining a suicide mission from Mass Effect 2 where like there's the biotic barrier and
That definitely
That
was
too.
what
Oh, that too.
barrier
Okay.
thing looks very much like how I pictured in my head.
I got nostalgic for Halo. That was a weird one for me.
Thanks for playing tonight, even though we weren't completely sure, guys.
It was super fun. I'm glad we did it.
I feel like Melgar and Kyvius really connected in this session, so I'm happy we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the record, issue's still going on.
What'd you say?
The issue's still going on. We still haven't recovered the
Which
VPN thing.
Oh no.
Oh, jeez.
what VPN
Sure.
thing? Oh, you're talking
Oh
about
my
work?
god.
I've been like bouncing between like Melgar and like a 15-person conference call.
I
I've been
can't
talking
wait.
ass Belgar in that
Yeah,
conference call.
at some point until we get on the call, you're like, sounds like your fucking problem.
Be stronger.
That'd be amazing.
better.
I gotta say, beholders are used in like every D&D game, but man, has this one got the build up, right? Like
Really?
this feels like where he should be.
I have never encountered a beholder before.
Yeah, I haven't either. This feels like a rite of
I
passage.
just
Yeah.
I don't play a lot of games. I meant like it's a classic monster, and I hear a lot of stories.
it's like the iconic D&D monster.
It's
but what's
the icon
funny
Yeah.
about it,
every D&D like edition has it.
It
Right?
feels like
Exactly.
it got good treatment.
but
You
the
know what I
funny
mean?
thing, but the funny thing about it is it's always a level that is way too dangerous to put in front of your party. Like,
Well, here we
way-
are,
I know.
and I bet it could kill us. Petrify, here we come. Petrify, disintegrate, all that fun stuff.
I mean, I only
I'm
run
in a
easy
different
combat.
opinion though.
that don't threaten the PCs. But I do think that you guys, if you do want to purchase anything, grab the party wealth, prep between sessions, good time to do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Spend the rest of our money since we're not going to get much more efficient way to do it.
Nope.
Your waste slot doesn't add anything to your defenses, right?
Nope.
Okay.
No, although I think
You said neck piece is good to get, right?
yeah,
Right.
it gives you bonuses.
Yeah. Your next slot gives you your fortitude, reflex, will. Your armor gives you your AC. Everything else is basically just like bonuses that kind of make sense for that slot.
What does arm and hands do?
Whatever
Arm
the
and
item
hands
effect
things.
is. Nothing extra, just whatever's on it.
Arm is if you're not holding a shield, you can have something in your other hand, like an implement or like a second magic item. Or if you're not doing that, they tend to be things that provide like utility bonuses.
They're like bracers.
Yeah. Well, that's Well, and then the hand slot would physically, or the arm slot rather, would be like the gauntlets you've worn. The hand slot is always, or arm slot rather, is always for like damage increases.
The
Hand slot is for gloves.
if you just want an easy slap on for your character, there's a waist that increases the value of your healing surge by 2.
Yeah. I picked up the healer's sash over the time skip.
Okay. Yeah. Just
And
send messages to me.
Okay, will do.
Nice.
I
I know
think
you've told me this a bunch of times, but I keep forgetting.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, we've taken out the gold for it already. He
Yeah.
just needs to put it on.
Hey guys, super glad that you didn't fail that skill challenge.
Yeah.
That would have been a real
too.
dumb way to end the campaign.
Sorry, I tried.
I was looking at what my level was as we were going in. I was looking at the level you need to use Residium to cast Linked Portal. Not high enough level. We had no way out.
Are we using a Hero's Feast, by the way? We may want to do that.
I don't think we can.
We can't until we get out of the wind.
Got it.
In the library, you can, but there may be one fight between you and that possibility.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to use it
Might
for
be.
another fight anyway.
Yeah, and
We're
you
still
know
way
what?
too fresh.
I'm sure Melgar won't get you guys into any trouble
Yeah.
when you enter that library.
No way.
I mean, he seems like a stand-up guy.
I'm glad that it was really nice of the Raven to come around to give something for Warren to do. Because we're gonna have a bunch of books, and he's gonna be like, "Hey."
I was waiting Warren to scream at it, be like, "What the fuck do you want me to do?" And the Raven just a shrug at him.
The Raven just flies off, and I'm like, "Fucking!" I couldn't have picked a god that like gave proper instructions ever. Can't pick one that's clear.
Meanwhile,
Sure.
Cord basically tells you,
Yeah. Cord makes it real clear.
get good.
So is this how many action? Is this just your hero point then?
It's his
Yeah.
Paragon Path action point spent power.
Oh, got it.
Hmm.
We all have something like that when we spend an action point now.
And use the terms action point and hero point interchangeably, whichever
Yeah.
I actually forgot what mine does.
one. Fuck all.
It lets you read books twice as fast.
No.
Sounds right. 3
Don't you-
times as
It
fast?
makes the books you're holding immune to fire.
When you hit with an attack before the end of your turn, you daze. Okay.
Oh, so when you spend an action point to make another attack, it dazes.
Yeah. Each
Not
enemy you
bad.
hit with an attack before the end of your turn is dazed. Yeah. That's fine. I need to be level 12 to get the whole thing this whole path does.
You missed it also before Game Wild. We've discussed things, and I think the group is collectively on board with getting commission artwork done.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna start doing the first big deposit here in the next day or two, basically out of pocket, just so that you guys are not at risk in case he's like, so long, fuckos, I can't draw robots anyway. Don't put me through that mushroom head bullshit. But I'm probably gonna go ahead and toss like a PayPal or like an email link or something in chat here in the next
Perfect.
couple of days. We'll go from there. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Have you had a
Right,
chance
so-
to add those rituals yet?